One, two, three, four.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Tonight it's Friday night, so we're going to be doing Night Pants with Nana, our weekly mother-daughter comedy, fun, pop culture, crime, shopping, all things conversation and coolness talk show that we do on Friday nights. This is our second episode of Night Pants with Nana. We have fun new segments. It's a good time. So let us know that you're here in the live chat. We love interacting with you guys. If you want to support the channel, smash the like. It helps us so much. If you want to support further, send a super chat. We love super chats. We'll highlight your comment. It helps us with the channel. I just actually bought a new arm for my microphone. And so when Chell gets home from work, he's going to install it. So I'm going to have one of those cool arms instead of this base that's really heavy.
Oh, you mean like kind of like a Howard Stern? It's
well,
coming that way.
Maybe like not Howard Stern, but someone.
I like him. I'm sorry, I like him. I think he's really kind of cleaned up his act. I like him.
Okay. Well, we can get into that later. So super chats are welcome. Super thanks after the videos post. Join our membership on Patreon and or on YouTube. We're going to be having special Night Pants with Nana for our members. And follow us on social media at Joleen Lunzer on Instagram, Twitter, and the Talkie. Now that we have all of the YouTube business out of the way, there's one more business thing, Nana.
You do really well with that. Our light
goal for tonight. Uh-oh.
Light goal
Why are you coughing?
I have a tickle in my throat.
Do you have water?
I have water.
I'm going to grab a water. You set the light goal, and Nana, bully them to like it. Say,
hi, I'm here. I'm here to bully you. I'm here to mother you to death. To please like this, because then we can keep going on and on and on.
Otherwise we'll die.
Night Pants with Nana. We just thought it was funny. Night Pants. And it came about because I was getting my pajamas on. We were having a live. For the love of God, I could not remember the name pajamas. I could not remember the name. I just couldn't remember the name of it. I got to get my night pants on. So that's what this came to. So we thought, hey, Night Pants, that's a good name for it. So please hit the like. I think the like goal tonight should be 50 because we are just starting out like this. But I sure wish it would be more. And mods, if you don't mind telling us when we do hit 50, that'd be great. Really appreciate it. And Jolene's got all these different segments we're going to be doing. So I really like that. I enjoy that very much. So how was everybody's week? Oh, you want to know about mine? Okay. It wasn't as thrilling as the week I had.
Just kidding. Oh, we got 43 likes. Let's get to 50. We're so close, Nana. Great job with that, by the way.
Thanks. Thanks, Jamie B.
All right. I'm fully here. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. I got some drinks.
What do you have
and
on?
I lit a candle.
Cute? What is that? That's cute.
Oh, it's a little like baseball shirt I got from a coffee shop. I went to in Roastology in where was it? Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, see, I really like that. And I have my Nana shirt on.
Woo-hoo!
Nana. Yeah.
Nana
shirt. So I felt better today. I only took one muscle relaxer so I could be with it. And that was earlier this morning. I didn't take any since then. And I just primed a wall downstairs in the basement. There's a small.
You just fell on the ice. You had to go to urgent care. You got muscle relaxers and you're already painting?
Honey, the Lord and I work in mysterious ways. I just couldn't stand laying anymore. I just couldn't stand it.
It was only a couple days you were laying.
But I took my time and I had my purdy brushes.
I thought you were going to say, I took my top off.
Yeah, I took my top off. Yeah. Hello, out of the hospital recovering from appendix explosion. Aaron, no, couldn't
I
watch
had
you two for
that.
2 weeks. Jolene had that.
Aaron, I'm so sorry. That is horrible. I had
Oh,
that appendix rupture and I missed the first week of 5th grade and I basically had to learn to walk again, it felt like. So
oh,
I get
honey,
it.
I'm so
Oh,
glad you're out of the
Aaron,
hospital and recovering. That is
get
terrible.
well.
That is so terrible to hear. That I know. I remember how sick Jolene was with it.
Well, remember the doctors were like, well, they kept misdiagnosing me. They were like, it's a maybe a urinary tract infection. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, huh? And then I just kept being sicker and sicker and sicker until finally I told my mom, like, you have to take me to the ER.
I
You go to
just
the
did. We
doctor,
were.
you go to the urgent care, and then we went, and they were like, oh shit, her appendix ruptured, and here's a chart. So here's you're doing great, and here's your debt, and here's Jolene.
It was
So
terrible, because
horrible.
if you don't get the right prognosis, if you
Mhm.
go in there and you just accept what the doctor's saying, okay, well,
Get a second
I
opinion.
mean, young mother, I didn't know, brought her home. Nope, right back. So it was really bad. So Erin, we hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, feel better, feel better. Nana, Kim A is starting off with quite the great question because I'm sure it was so fun. Nana, in a couple sentences, what was it like raising Jolene?
I drank
That's
then.
me.
But
She drank a lot. That's how she got through it. That's how she got through it.
no, it was, she's my first. So that very first one, I'm sorry. And I was the first one. You are the kind of guinea pig because you don't know what you're doing. When I brought her home from the hospital, I told that story before where I sat down and I was holding Jolene. I put her on the floor with her little blankies and I just started to cry. I just didn't know what I was going to be doing here. I didn't. I mean, I was just so
I know.
emotional and
It sounds like, yeah, because it's like your whole life changed. You have this little thing looking at you like, do something, and you're only 25 years old. But it's just
I
funny to
know.
think that I'm just there like, hey, girl, what's up? And you're like, I
know. And I'm not.
want a screwdriver.
I know it's the last time I really had a good cry. Anyway, but my dad was there, and my mom, oh, Wally, just leave her alone. Because he's like, well, what's wrong with her? Oh, Wally, just leave her alone. So Ethel, you always knew what to say. But yeah,
So
it was fun.
great.
It was fun. It was, I mean, to have 2 kids. I don't know how people do it with more than 2. Because I don't know that, but 2 to me was plenty. And I lucked
People
out. I had a
do
girl
it.
and a boy.
Well, you
But
lucked out
yeah,
you had me, which was like,
like I said, I had a girl and a boy. So we got her into things. We had her, she was the show. She liked to, watch me, watch me, watch me. And I was like that. Jolene's like that, and Lucy's like that. So it just kind of trickles down. It's a trickle down theory,
I
but
mean,
it was a
we
lot.
kind of, we're all performers. Me, Nana,
Olivia,
and Lucy.
yes. Olivia, hello.
Hey, Olivia.
Been waiting for this all week. That's so nice. So I'm just so excited because I really like this night pants with Nana. I really do like it because we just get to talk and go back and forth with things, and we have our segments.
We have fun
Jolene
segments.
did a great job with the segments and stuff. So I appreciate that. That's fun.
We got a new member, maintenance chick. Welcome to the
Oh,
lean
how
team.
nice. Thank you.
Leaner teamer.
Thank you, maintenance chick.
Welcome.
I like that name.
We love new members. Appreciate it so much. B Bean said, did Jolene boss her brother around as a young child? Never.
Oh, honey, yes. And I'm watching like Lucy and Frank now, the grandbabies, the grandkids, and they're exactly the kind of the same age difference as Jolene and Bill were. And so it's just, it's a fighting and, this isn't fair. And he did this and she said this. And it's like, oh my God.
But I think Lucy and Frankie fight more than me and Billy did, but that's only because I don't really remember.
I do.
See them
and I see it. It's like a do-over. It's just like, it's like deja vu. They're back.
Amanda's like, shut up, get along. But you fought with your siblings too. It's like a thing.
Oh, it is. Of course you do. I mean, I was the only child for 4 years, was it? Yeah, I had
Why would
the
your
reign of
parents
the
do
house
that
for
to
4
you?
years.
I remember I was the only child for 3.5 years. And then I was like, what are these people doing? just because they selfishly want another child, I have to give up attention and time and money that would normally go to me and presents.
Well, we remember this. She had little ponytails in her hair to come see Billy at the hospital. She's playing with her ponytails going, Grandma, can we go now? We saw him. So
What a sweet girl. What a sweet girl. Shane Knapp. Hey, Shane. Shane says, this is why I decided to get with a girl who had a 10-year-old. I figured the teen years would be no problem. I was wrong. You know what?
Shane, that is
I can remember Shane coming around because Shane actually is talking about my friend Stacia, and Shane's my friend as well. But now this 10-year-old is now an adult with like a master's degree who's killing it. And so I feel
you guys did a beautiful job.
old.
She's just a beautiful young woman.
Beautiful. Maintenance Chick says, #1 Nana fan here. Well, we're so glad to have you.
Oh, that's
and
so nice.
Nana's the star. And
I like being the star.
She does like it. She loves it.
She'll
say
it.
She doesn't sometimes.
Oh no. That's just when I get tired and crappy. I'm cranky.
Yeah. Sometimes we talked about that lately. We did hit our like goal too, Nana. So should we put it up to 100 likes now? Let's do 100 likes, guys.
Oh, you really like to push it. Okay.
Nana.
Let's go 100. I like 100. Okay.
But we did talk recently, and Nana said, because she gets a little cranky. I get cranky, but I've always kind of been moodier. But Nana gets like cranky now, and you said it's age.
It is, you guys. I'm not kidding. And anybody that's my age, I'm 60. I was going to say 62. It sounded good. 68. I don't know where did 62 come from, but 68 right in there, because all of a sudden everything seems to be changing. Things aren't changing the way you thought they should be changing. Things aren't happening the way you thought they should happen.
Like what? What's one example of something you're just like,
all right, I'll give you an example. And I hate to go back to customer service because everybody's experiencing this customer service crap, but it's just disheartening to be on the phone half a day to change an appointment. I'm sorry, I'm going to have you hold. You won't hear some music, but you will hear some music sometimes, but please hold. And you're on the phone, you're going 24 minutes. I'm on this phone. And then they come back with, hi, your call is important to us. And what we'd like to do is just push 2 and you get a callback number and you won't lose your space in the line of people waiting. It's just like, oh my God, come on. And you got time for stuff. In retirement, you have time for things. Okay. And all of a sudden, the joy of doing those things is gone. The joy of, like I used to like making meals and stuff.
Babies.
Doing this. I used to like this. But now it's like, oh, a chore. Okay. What do you want to eat?
You liked cooking?
Yeah. I thought it was, yeah, I did, because that's what I watched my mom do.
You did make a lot of stuff. I remember you did make a lot of stuff. I remember you always were making stir fry, stuffed green peppers, different kinds of hot dishes. What were some of your other signature meals?
Graphic designer. That's so funny. If your mom was awake, I know she would agree with me. You're right. It's just 61 plus years, no time for BS. Yes, that's what it is. Now, am I saying this right? ALS?
Yep.
Okay. That's it. And you just don't want to be that crabby old lady. But all of a sudden you're hearing yourself going, well, I was never that snappy with anybody before. I just go, oh, okay, well, that's fine.
Snappy with this one. And I'm like,
I do. I mean, that just happens in life. I'm not looking, when you're at the store and they're saying, but this is much better. It's $500 more, but it's got a lifetime warranty. Well, a lifetime warranty to me means less and less. Because when I was 25 and they said lifetime warranty, oh, hell, there's 60 years, you're thinking, well, that's not what I got.
Yeah, so, you do. 120, Nana is going to 120. Kim A, Minnesota salads. Yeah, lots of mayonnaise salads and chicken salad. She makes.
Chicken salad, yeah, tuna salad. I'd like to cook, and that's what we did
salad.
Because we didn't have that kind of money to take you guys out to eat like I see people do now.
I remember when you guys took us to the Sizzler for the first time, I was like, holy shit, my parents are rich, because I thought that was fancy AF. And I was like, oh my God, we are killing it. Seriously, like, I feel like Cinderella. They had a salad bar. There was steak.
It was good. You're right.
It was the biggest deal. And
We
it was on the Parkway, on Johnson Parkway. So I was like, oh my God.
This is
Hey.
so cool. You
Yes.
just you don't have the time for the BS. And I think that's what someone said too. I mean, you just don't, and you just get a little crabby about it. And I
Yep.
want to wake up and I want to feel good, but that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen either. You get up and you're thinking, okay, what hurts now? You're walking like Fred Flintstone. You go outside, you fall, you got to be so careful of things. It's just different. And I think it has a lot to do with not a lot of sun in Minnesota now. You know, we have a lot of dark days.
Affective disorder. You
Yes.
get sad. I remember that feeling. Here, every freaking day is sunny.
Oh,
I will tell you though, there is too sunny, because in the middle of the summer and when you're in either LA or in the desert here and it's hot and you're just like, can it get cloudy, please?
Wow.
There is too much sun, but I would far prefer the sun to just gray day after gray day with cold. It's too much.
Yes.
It's too much.
Well, Tweeza's saying, Nana, I'm in Minnesota too. Cold weekend. I don't have time for this cold. Either do I. It is going to get just icy cold now. Plus, you're still having to, get the snow off your driveway, off your sidewalk. And you don't want to be that person. I never wanted to be that old lady that would complain about everything. But all of a sudden, there I am. And I'm thinking, oh, you got to change this up, girlfriend, because you won't have a friend. Just going to be me and Linda and Jolene. Okay.
I'll still be your friend. Speaking of which, I think, I didn't put the right one on, but I think we all need an update on Nana's giant bush.
I think everyone should trim up their bush. I know I trimmed my bush up a couple days ago, so I'm pretty proud of my bush.
Nana's proud of her bush. Nana,
I love that segment. Now you can see
bush.
You can see behind.
Holy shit, it is coming out of all ends there.
And then that little one with the tulips, that's really flowering.
It's pretty.
And I thought it was too. So I moved it down because I had it over to the side. I moved it down. And there's the little froggies about this big, just a little tree frog that got in there. So I put him back in and he's still there. He's happy.
You didn't eat him or anything?
So it is flourishing. It is doing so well. So Linda says, you can't say you don't have pets because you got frogs. Oh, it's true.
You have two of them? I forget.
Well, it's weird because I know there's a little one here. There's a little bigger one in there, a little bigger. It's a tree frog, but a little. And I have two down in the big.
They did it.
What?
Did they have babies?
I don't think so.
Are they smaller? Boy. Nana, your house, you're going to wake up one day and it's like rabbits. Do you know that? Frogs are like rabbits. Once they start, they just go everywhere.
You're going to give me, I want to keep them here until it gets to be summer and spring at least. So, and then put them outside.
And then you eat them. Oh no, never going to eat them.
No.
Not that kind of frog. You're going to put them outside in the spring when it's nice out.
Yeah. Because that's why.
Do they ever crawl to bed with you or anything?
No, honey, they haven't done that. They're little. Why do you do this to me? Now, tonight I'm going to be like this going, oh God. No, they do not.
Yeah. Aren't the candles in Nana's window cute, Missy? I like them too.
I like those. Those are those remote ones. And Frankie's so funny. He comes over, he goes, Nana, can I blow those out? I go, you sure can. So he gets up there and tries to blow them out. He goes, it's not working. I go, no, it's on this remote, honey.
It's like those trick birthday candles.
Oh, yes.
People used for, I don't know if people still use them, but that was a thing for a while where you're like, hey, wait a minute, just a second. So your bush is doing great. It's flourishing.
It is.
You're watering it. You have friends in your bush. You've gotten more friends in your bush from last week.
Yeah, it's more fun to have friends in your bush. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that makes me happy. Can I ask you a question? I'm not seeing all the chat stuff. Is there a reason for that? Are you seeing a lot of people chatting?
Yes, I see everybody.
All right. I'm not seeing
that side panel with the chat. Are you in StreamYard?
I am.
And maybe you got to stretch your screen, make it full screen. Oh, I noticed Nana was looking over here like this.
I know, where is it?
I know. She can't see her friends. Right. Can you see it now?
I see it, but the last thing that is shown is me saying, hi, honey, and under you.
Really?
And, yeah.
Well, scroll down. Scroll down in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, well, hide current comment. No.
Well,
No.
go over, look to your
Show.
right. What is this? This is an example of a comment. Did you put that up? What's that come from?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's over here. Live
Where'd
viewer
you get
comments
that?
show up. That's what it
Huh?
says on mine.
What the hell? Well, why don't you pop out, pop back in?
Oh no, I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Well,
fine.
I'll make sure to highlight comments for you. Okay.
Well, you're
So you
really
can
good
see.
about that. So yes.
Okay, I'm trying. Yeah, it is. Shane, good point. It is better to have frogs in your bush than crabs. Even though I like crabs, I like eating crab. I think crab is
I'm
delicious.
allergic.
You're allergic?
I'm allergic to crabs and to shellfish of any kind. So, but
And like
frogs in your
producer
bush.
Linda says, frogs keep the bugs out of her bush. So producer Linda knows, she checks in on her.
Yes. How are
And
you doing? Are you still itching? Yeah.
what's up,
Okay.
Krillin? We're streaming over on Twitch there as well as YouTube. So Krillin187, welcome to the live
Hey, welcome to
chat.
the live. That's so nice. You said you got 50 likes. That's awesome. Everybody just take a breath. It's Friday. You can kind of decompress. I'm not worried about work. I hope you're not.
I
And
had
then
such a busy week.
I know you
You didn't
did,
ask me though.
but I was just about to. I was just going to
You were
mention.
not. You
Sure, I
weren't.
was. I was just going to mention to people, please hit the like. Let's do it now. It doesn't cost anything. It's awesome. Just hit like and then go, gee, this is kind of a fun show. I think I'll hit subscribe too. That would make our night.
This
So
is what
how
Nana was
was
saying.
I wasn't listening to you. I was listening to myself. Just now, I wasn't listening.
I wasn't listening to you. I was listening to myself right now. I wasn't listening to you.
I was though. I really was because I was going to ask. You've been awfully busy this week at work. So
And then next week I go to Atlanta.
I mean that's like
midweek. I leave on Wednesday and I'll be there till
that's
Saturday. And then you get here
I
to
know
visit
that's
me.
going to be fun. We're going to have such a nice time. Lucy's just can't wait. She just
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
wait. So that'll be a good time.
Nana will be here for a week. Lucy will be here for 2 weeks. And so we'll have lots of fun comments and content coming your way too. And we're going to go to the Stranger Things experience. Now, Nana, we'll get to that later about the next segment I would like to go to. Let's
Okay.
see.
I'm going to let you
Which
guide the
one do
way
I
because
want
you're
to go
good.
to? I'm going to do Keeping Up with Kohls. Keeping Up with Kohls is our shopping segment and/or talk about stuff that we like segment, stuff that we bought segment, or Kohls and Kohls Cash. Feel free to put stuff that you've purchased or any questions you have regarding the things we're talking about in the live chat. Nana, what have you been to Kohls? What's going on?
I love my Kohl's and I have not been there, you guys.
What? Oh, because of your back or your
I just
your neck, your back, you're seeing the crack.
when I fell, I haven't been out and about. I just haven't. I've been
Yeah.
kind of down and out and I'm feeling better now. So,
Yep.
and like I said, I only took one of the muscle relaxers today so I could be within the moment here.
Well, I know like the second day after you went to urgent care or something, or the first day, maybe it was the second day, you were like, I wanted to go to Target and walk the aisles. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, you can't drive. No, Dad's gonna drive me, and then I'm gonna just walk the aisles. And then
And
it was
I
like,
didn't
what if
do
you
it.
fall? And so
I didn't do it. See, and yet I don't like to be afraid of those things. But after it happens and you go, oh gosh, I really am vulnerable to this crap. But I haven't been to Kohl's, but I check them online all the time because I have the app for Kohl's. Yep. Touch the app and then it brings up everything that's on sale. And right now I only have a 15%. I don't leave the house for 15%.
who
It's
does?
got to be 30 or more,
20 or more, I say. What's a 15%? You might as well just give me 10 and slap me in the face and call me a bitch, because
Ooh, I like that.
it's disrespect. When anyone says 10% off, I'm like, go F yourself. 15% off. That's basically 10, 20. Now we're talking.
Now we're
30.
talking 30. Hello.
The level
Hello.
you're at, because what Kohl's level are you at again?
I am MVC, most valuable customer. And they send me little things going, you still have free shipping with whatever you buy. That's awesome. Love it. Love it. And someone mentioned just now about getting a job at Kohl's.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would owe them money. I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
They would, they, they'd go, where is that new girl? Oh, she's back in that dressing room trying things on. Okay. No, I wouldn't do well. I wouldn't do well
I
at a
haven't
job
been
right now.
no, you don't have to work. You worked enough. We're putting her to work right now. This is her only job. She has to focus on this. I already checked in with her today and I go, "Do you got all your segment pieces?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "That means no."
No, that doesn't
I'm
mean
not just
that. I took time out of my busy
you
life to
kill
make
it.
sure that I
You
have stuff.
well, you did
Now,
so great last week. So I
now
just wanted you to,
Absolutely. And
keep
Shane's
up the
saying we got a new
momentum.
snowblower a few weeks ago. I saw that on Facebook, Shane. I was really excited for you.
Oh,
Um,
that's what we need to do. Of Nana's Facebook updates needs to be a segment too. Because what have you posted anything good on Facebook lately, Nana?
I haven't because I'm getting a little
Uh-oh.
mad at Facebook. You know how you
Uh-oh.
keep
Give it to
seeing
Mark Zuckerberg.
over and over again saying you might just be seeing 12 people that are liking your stuff and you don't see anybody else's. Like it says you have 300 people that are your friends, but I'm not seeing everybody's postings. So in order to see, please push on this and click and paste and put it in your, you
And
know,
that's a lie.
that's a lie.
Those
It
status
doesn't work.
updates.
It doesn't work. So I haven't put in much out there on Facebook. I
I
will
don't
put it
either.
out if we're going live. I do
Mhm.
that, but otherwise I haven't put too much out there. I don't want to be political on Facebook. I mean, that's to me a
I
dead end.
hide a lot of political people.
It's
I feel
just
like
kind of,
that's Twitter.
yeah, and
I'll
I
go to
just,
Twitter for that. Facebook, I don't know. I mean, you got the right. Do what you want to do, but some people are just a little over the top with that stuff.
yeah, I mean, it's nice that you
Like your
have
husband.
he likes to talk politics. I don't care to talk politics. That isn't my thing.
You like to talk about it, but
Not really. No, I really don't.
oh,
I think I really had enough of it just working there that it's like, oh, okay. Is that what you think? Oh, that's good because that's not the way it works. Kim A, I'm obsessed with my new Amazon purchase. Beetle Gel Nail Kit. It's great.
oh, let's look it up and see what it is. Let's look it up for your
What is a
friend.
beetle gel?
Beetle nail gel
Hmm.
kit. I've been thinking like, am I going to keep getting my nails done? I mean, I really enjoy it, but I just saw an article that freaked me out. And obviously I have to do more research on it. I haven't, but I'm allowing myself to be freaked out that those hand dryers you put your nails in when you go to the salon
Yes,
that
yes.
they use to do the quick dries somehow is, in my science talk, molecularing. Somehow it's doing something to your cells that's increasing cancer or something. And I'm like, damn it, this is, you can't take that from
Nothing. Nothing you
I
can do.
I know. I was a little upset about that, but I
Well,
don't, again, don't quote me on it because I got to look into it some more. I think I saw it. Oh, I saw it on Instagram. It was a post on Instagram, and I think it was, did Hollywood Unlocked post it? Somebody posted it. Did B Scott? No, I forget. But okay. So I'm looking at Beetle's nail tips and glue. Is that what you got?
it says Beetle Gel Nail Kit. It's great.
Beetle? Okay.
And
Gel.
Amazon, boy, is there anything they don't have, you guys? They just built a huge Amazon warehouse about, what would you say, 4 miles from us, maybe 4. And it's immense. Unbelievable. It is taking over all of our other stores, which I feel bad about because I liked going to the stores and looking at things and touching things and knowing what it is. But
Nana loves touching shit.
she said,
Okay, did you get something like this? Is this what you got? Because this looks kind of cool.
let's see.
Okay, let me see. Is it this? I found it on Instagram through the Beetle gel polish. I love Instagram. I know that I'm supposed to love TikTok more, but I love Instagram because I feel like I can find everything. I can get tea for, when I'm doing stuff on reality shows and things or television shows. I can, get like style stuff, home and fashion, and also every time I go into to get my nails done, I always, first look and search the like nail decor, stuff like that, the hashtag. So okay, that's it. Yes, this looks cool.
That does look very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What does something
just-
like that run? So it's got, is this where that little
Nana
white
wants
igloo?
to know what you paid
What
there.
did you pay for it? That little igloo, is that where you put your
Yeah, that's the
hands?
UV
Oh,
light.
yes. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, that looks fun.
Yeah, working rights. That's one thing Amazon doesn't have. Speaking of which,
JDB, I'm giving you that. There's no question. I don't walk through Walmart. So
Laugh After Dark is on Amazon now. You can watch it there. You can buy my episode if you want to.
oh, I love that.
Yeah. I just got word last week, I think.
You can find everything on YouTube too. I'm so impressed
Right?
with YouTube.
You can teach yourself stuff.
I found an old show that I hadn't seen in years. And graphic designer, tell your mom to get up. Anyway, it was My Little Margie, and it was an old show that was just so cute, and it's still cute. And I was watching episodes of that. Someone took it upon themselves to put all 88 episodes out there for My Little Margie.
Oh, don't you love those channels that do that? Hey, where am I? I love to find people did that back in the day with Celebrity Big Brother UK and regular civilian BB UK. And so I would just sit on YouTube and rewatch and watch. And it was just so great that they did that. So Kim says it was $35, Nana.
That doesn't seem bad to me. That seems like you're getting an awful lot for $35.
Aaron says Kohl's was in negotiations to be sold, but pulled out very recently. Well, is that why they've brought on Sephora?
You know, I wondered that because when you go into our Kohl's, you can look over at Sephora. I mean, they're right as you're coming in either door, you can see them right away. And there's always a lot of young people in Sephora looking at makeup. And
Sephora's awesome.
And some even my age in there going, God, can I get...
Have you tried your new makeup that you got last week?
Of course I did.
Okay, so what did you get again? You got the brightener for your under eye. Are you wearing it again?
I got it all here.
So good.
And I did that. And then I've been using that Jergens. I know it's not expensive, but that smoothing stuff and down in here, and it really does help. It makes some of the wrinkles not go away, but you don't see them.
It makes your wrinkles soft.
Yeah, it's the softest wrinkles you'll ever have in your life.
I finally got my new Pillow Talk lipstick. I think I talked about that last
That's
week.
Very pretty.
The Charlotte Tilbury. I love it. It's so
you love Charlotte.
Soft.
Yes.
I know. But the one thing I cannot live without and I'm obsessed with is this Laneige lip gloss. I'm telling you, Nana. It's the best stuff in the world. So they have a new peach. They didn't have peach before. I normally get like the berry, very berry, or the gummy bear flavor, which I have the gummy bear right here. I have these. If you guys watch me, you know, you're like, duh, I see Jolene doing that all the time. I put on lip gloss, lipstick. I love having stuff on my lips. Sounds weird, but I cannot stop putting Laneige on. I love it so much. And then they have the nighttime stuff. The lip mask that you wear overnight. I even got it for my niece and my nephew because it's just like, it's fun flavors, fun colors. And in the wintertime there, you know, their lips are peeling. Now, do they at 8 and 5 years old go and put it on before bed? No. But do I tell my mom and my sister-in-law once those little cuties fall asleep, just lather
Get in
it?
there and lather it, yes.
That's what I did when they stayed with me. Because Frank, you know, he has, what's not eczema. What does he have? He has,
well, I don't know. It's just
not eczema. He gets patches of, is it eczema? It might be eczema.
Of dry skin. And he gets it right here.
And he gets it underneath his lip and stuff. And so when he would fall asleep, I would just put all that on and then it went away.
It did.
And
it did.
My sister-in-law was like, I've never seen him without any little bit of, you know, chapness or something. Are you in the chat now?
Yes.
This is a talk show where we talk to each other.
And I talk to you and then I
but
can
you're
talk
like
to
this.
you. I'm going, and why when I read, do I have to have my mouth open? I don't get that.
You do. Like, and you're like, and then I know you're liking it because you're like,
Okay. Shannon Van, thank you. Thank you for being up here and with us, honey.
Yes.
That's so nice. I always like to.
Shannon Van. The ordinary at Ulta is a great line. It's affordable too.
The
Ordinary. I think I have tried some ordinary things. That sounded
Is
weird,
that
but
Ulta? Isn't that we used to
it's in
have
Target
one.
now. Ultas are in
Yes.
Target now.
Yeah, we
It's
used to have
crazy.
our whole Ulta store, and then that went out. There's a few stores between our Cub and Target that they keep putting things in, like the Hallmark store that went under,
Yeah,
Um,
how did it stay
I don't
afloat
know.
that long? But I did
I
like a
re
Hallmark store. I used to
I
like to go in a Hallmark
They
store.
got cutesy stuff, I know, but Shannon Van is saying she's been doing her own nail extensions for a year now. I can't wait to get to California because then I know we're gonna go and have a manicure because I really
And
need
petty. I know I've
one.
been waiting for you guys, but I'm gonna have to get one before Atlanta, especially a petty too, because
I know I was gonna go and get this done, and I thought, "I'll just wait."
Yep, just read the positive comments, Nana. Just read
I know.
positive
Lazy Buddhist.
comments.
I know. I know. I know.
But that is actually a joke from the drama community that we cover. Is they used to tell the one guy, just read the positive comments because he would freak out if you read negative comments,
Mm,
So this week I was really working on a lot of videos and trying to edit, and I got a couple videos coming out, but it just takes so damn long. I need to hire a video editor, or I need like an intern or something.
well, honey, I really don't know where you find time for everything, but you sure brought this up, Night Pants with Nana and our
Well,
segments and stuff. And I thought, how does she do all this? Granted, I don't want to know how.
no,
I'm
Nan doesn't
just,
want to help in that way. She's the star. She shows up. You and Busy, going live with you and Busy's the same.
is
Neither of
it?
you will do any. Yeah, she's thumbnail. No, make the live. Hell no. And then when is it? Okay, then I'll do it. So, I mean, that's probably why I like Busy, because it's just like, well, it's like going live with Nana. But actually,
I know.
Nana, you do prepare though for Night Pants. You
I
bring
do.
some.
I do. I
Mhm.
try to prepare and look at what's going on in our little neighborhood and stuff and things like that. I think that's important.
You
You
do.
know,
Yes, I'm gonna have to check out Trixie Mattel's line.
I
And
love that. Trixie. What a cute name.
yeah, she's a drag queen, and we gotta have her on Night Pants. Someone hit her up and see if she wants to be interviewed by us. I'm sure she does. I'm sure
Oh,
she is. Nothing better to do. Speaking of Nana keeping up with Kohl's and shopping, she also keeps up, like she says, with the crime. So next up
yes.
is the Nextdoor crime update with Nana. If you want crime and drama, aka crama, you came to the right place, because Nana has been peeping her Nextdoor app. She has been on the YouTube channel of the St. Paul Sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And we can
Fletcher.
check and see what he's been doing too. But Nana likes to see what these people on the Nextdoor app, and also what crime is happening in her area. So Nana, give us the update on
I
Nextdoor and crime.
Thank you. Thank you, Jolene. This is on our next door site, and they have everything about everything. It just
Mhm.
isn't crime. It's about who has a recipe for this, or have you seen this dog in this neighborhood,
And
and things.
last week, you told us about a dog that had escaped, and the person said, don't call its name. So I won't tell you its name, and don't go after him because he doesn't
Then
like it. But they found him and returned him
they
home.
found him.
Mhm.
Thank God they found him. So, a woman walking home from Cub, and it was icy drizzling.
Was it you?
It wasn't me.
Okay.
And she says a young woman pulled up, rolled down her window, and asked me if I was all right. And the woman sounded, she didn't give her age. She sounded like this age right here.
Your age?
Yes, because she said she pulled up and then she got a little nervous because someone pulled up and rolled down her window. And she just asked her if she was all right. And she thought, well, that's awful nice of her. I must have been walking funny, like kind of like Tim Conway, little bitty steps because it was so slippery and stuff. So I thought that was nice. So she thanked her for her kindness. This is the kind of stuff that's on
So
the next
she
door
was
sites.
walking home from Cub Foods grocery store in the
Yes.
middle of the winter when it was like,
It's drizzling and it's kind of
drizzling? Oh, poor
icy.
lady.
And
Oh,
someone pulled over.
no.
Now, she didn't ask her if she wanted
She
a
was probably
ride,
trying to kill her.
because people are so suspect now. I mean, you
Yeah.
just don't want to put yourself
Was it
out
a
there.
woman that
It
pulled
was a
over for her,
woman
you said?
that pulled over, young woman, she
Probably a
said.
serial killer looking for
Well,
her.
we don't know that.
I'm
And then
glad she didn't get in the car.
there's been a man and woman inside a car, stopping, asking kids if they want some candy.
No.
This is on the Nextdoor site. It says this
What?
happened to my 2 boys.
This
as
is an
they
urban
were-
legend.
No, as they
That's
were
what they
walking.
always tell
Well,
us.
as they were walking home, and they were only 2 houses away, they had gotten dropped off from the bus, and they were in a gold Toyota minivan.
Ugh.
And so that's
a van.
gold Toyota
So there's a
minivan.
van with a couple asking kids if they want candy. And who wrote this? The parents of the kids that came home and said, "Hey, these people asked if they want to."
Yes. So that stuff still happens,
Yeah,
and they just
that's not
mentioned.
funny.
No, it's not. I'm not saying these are funny. Some of them are.
Oh,
Some of them are
God.
really,
Oh,
really.
God. Yeah, I thought that went out in the 90s, Stranger Danger. That's like the thing you always heard. But like, man, taking it back to the old school, kids, if you're watching, you shouldn't be. But if you do, don't
They
take
knew
any
enough.
candy from anybody. Don't
No.
talk to nobody.
They ran home.
Mhm.
They knew that wasn't a normal thing. Then at 4:30 a.m. today, someone was in this person's front yard, and these 2 men were there, and they were messing around with their statue. They have a statue, and it looked like an angel, this statue,
Okay.
and it's 800 plus pounds, and it was separated from the pedestal. So they moved it. They got it down on the ground, and they couldn't carry it away because it's 800 pounds. But it was on concrete, but they moved it, and it didn't break. She said they dropped the statue in the snow. She went out. She got their license number.
So they tried to
and
steal an 800-pound
Found
angel
angel.
statue out of a woman's yard at 4 a.m. 2 men.
4:30, two men. And it says, and one of the guys was limping back to his truck.
He pulled
No.
something. He's going to need muscle relaxers like you, Nana.
I love it. But here's the next one right after that one.
Oh, my God.
Here's the next one. So you got the 2 guys trying to get this 800-pound angel. You can just picture it in your mind going, really?
Just
What
Dumb
are you
and
going to do
Dumber.
with this? What are you going to do with this? So the
Kill it.
next one was looking to go in a hot tub. I have a sore back, and I want to just chill in a big old tub. We'll bring beer and snacks. That was right after this one. This woman saying
They just outed themselves.
they did.
That's the criminal. That is the culprit. That's the angel thief who tried to steal that angel. That is, and also kind of, okay, wait a minute, just a second.
Yeah.
So on the Nextdoor app, people will just say, "Hey, I'm looking for a hot tub. I'll bring snacks and beer," to just strangers. And did anyone accept?
This is what I'm saying, but no one's accepted. I didn't see anything
Can you check
accepting.
and see if there's any comments under it? Or Shane, can you look? Because Shane said he's seen the same post.
Yes.
Did
Aren't
any
these-
post under this one?
No, somebody said it sounds like a fun guy. I remember reading that. Really?
That sounds again like Ted Bundy.
It does. I mean,
So
people are putting themselves out there, but you're wondering why. Really?
I'm gonna check
Go
Nextdoor real quick and see.
go
'Cause
to
I've
a
never been on
gym.
this site.
Go to a gym. Well, the Nextdoor is every neighborhood has their own Nextdoor.
Can I
Okay.
pretend I'm in your neighborhood?
You need to.
I'm just gonna put your address.
Okay, you
I'm
need to
not
follow.
on live, right?
don't-
You can't see my screen, right?
No. And Shane, thank you. I love that every post Narnar brings up he's seen. So this one I really liked. They're always looking for recommendations. Now, this person is looking for recommendations of a doctor or surgeon to remove their bunions because they had it done a couple years ago and the doctor botched it up. Okay. So this person is looking for any idea on a good doctor. And someone wrote in, Dr. Bourne from Stillwater is good. And then the next thing said, we used Discount Tire. So what this person did was he was putting the Discount Tire thing on the wrong question. Because then farther down, it's like, we need new tires. Where should we go? So if you need your bunions done, call used Discount Tire.
So he put it in the wrong thing.
He put it in the wrong thing, and I got a kick out of it. I thought, well, that would be me.
So someone's asking about bunions, and he said, Discount Tire. We use Discount Tire.
We
That's what we
use
do.
Discount Tire. I bet you do.
That's what we do. Can I just search for hot tub? I'm going to search hot tub and see what
Well, you
comes up.
can. Yeah, you can, honey. That's fine. It's just, I just get a kick out of these. I mean, some of them are really nice. I did write in. Oh, God, did I get the flack for that? I wrote in when we were having trouble with our mail. We weren't getting our mail for 6 weeks. We hadn't seen any mail.
Mhm.
And people said, that's all you have trouble with, count yourself lucky and
People
stuff
said
like
that to
this.
you?
Oh, yes.
On Nextdoor?
On Nextdoor. It's like, relax, people.
Were you like, listen, bitch,
don't come for me. If
okay?
you wouldn't have gotten your mail, you'd be upset too, because a lot of people get their medications and stuff through the mail. We never could because of that, because they were having trouble with the mail. Again, we're having trouble with people, not enough employees. People retire, they don't replace them. So that gets hard.
They don't pay well. Someone wants to know here, how do I get rid of a hot tub in your neighborhood, Nana? Said, has a leak in the piping of the insulation, and I don't want to fix it. I bought it in 2006, so it was a good run, but now I have to figure out how to dispose of it. Any ideas? And
an axe?
Someone said, ew, this thing, I'm going to show you a picture of the hot tub. This, sir, just burn it. Do you have a fire pit? I feel like that's what you should do at this point, because this thing doesn't look well. It looks sick. The hot tub looks like it's already offed itself, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can. There are a lot of people looking for things.
They're not looking for this. Hold on, I gotta figure out where the hell it went.
Okay.
No, you can. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I'm just saying, these Nextdoor sites, I can see Kim saying, I unsubscribed to Nextdoor because there's too much drama, because it does get like that sometimes.
I know. That's what I wanted to hear about, the freaking drama on Nextdoor. But Nana's telling me about rescue dogs but we did get the angel thing. But who's fighting? I want to hear who's fighting with each other.
Well, I didn't get a lot this week for fighting for Nextdoor. I just kind of scanned the Nextdoor site on the new things. And I really didn't. Oh, Lord, is that? No. Oh, God. Can Linda pipe in on this one?
Linda, come on. Linda's a professional when it comes to this.
Yes.
And this is just throw this baby away, right?
Yeah.
So someone said, put it on Craigslist and it'll be gone in a hurry. And then this guy says, junk removal outfits, such as Got Junk, 1-800-GOT-JUNK will remove hot tubs for free. It varies depending.
Okay.
Probably $250 to $450. If you're up to doing what I did, you can cut it into pieces with a reciprocating saw. What the frick is a reciprocating saw?
Oh, it's those long ones. They're about this long and they're jagged. And when you put it to something, your whole body goes like this. Yeah, it's quite the.
I only like jagged little pill. And get a dumpster bag.
See, here's
Home
Linda.
Depot.
Here's Linda. Scrap it. Gross.
Right?
She knows.
It's gross.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it's not bad. It's not bad. Well,
Yeah.
Someone lost an Apple Watch, Nana. You should be on the lookout. Someone lost an Apple. How do you see it so it's the most recent? How do you filter it?
That's a good question.
It's showing me August and 1 day ago.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I went to, it comes through my emails.
Oh, God.
And it comes as social. It goes promotions, social, and what's the other one? There's 3 different areas that they drop in.
I'm going to post a question and pretend I'm you. Is that okay?
No.
My butt itches.
No, don't do that. Don't do that to me. Don't do that. I'll be getting all this.
Any suggestions? It's very itchy. I've been up in there. Nothing seems to help.
Don't you dare. I mean,
I'm not going to. I'm just saying I might. But
reciprocating saws are fun. Thank you, Kim. You could get a staph infection from that thing. I think you could.
Nana, there's a jigsaw puzzle competition coming up on the 28th. Are you interested in going? I can RSVP for you.
No, honey, I don't do jigsaw puzzles. I like the jumble in the paper. And that other thing with the numbers, what is that one called? Sudoku? I don't get it. I don't get that Sudoku stuff.
Get it.
I don't. I'm just like, I draw a blank. My sister Karen, oh, it's so much fun. You'd love Sudoku. No, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think it's fun at all.
There's got to be a subreddit for Nextdoor drama. Nextdoor app drama, because that would be fun to see people.
Well, Kim is saying I should.
Best of Nextdoor on Twitter. Oh my gosh.
Oh, see, some of the stuff is just like, oh Lord. I like when people put things out there for sale, and not only is that on Nextdoor, they try to keep that clean of that kind of stuff, but it's on other sites like Marketplace. That's a fun place, and you can go and see everything on sale that people are selling in your area or the surrounding areas. One of them was antique Barbie. I'll put Barbies in there just to look at the Barbies. And it says, antique Barbie. She, in the blonde little bubble cut, just the kind of Barbies I had, she appears to have green ears. She doesn't appear to have green ears. They had a picture of it. She had green ears. So, I mean, the stuff that people want to sell, it just cracks me up. She appears to have green ears. No, she doesn't.
Did you have any other ones from your area?
I think that was it for this week,
Okay, because I
got
kind of
the highlight ones.
This. Oh, I didn't know I was sharing my screen still. Was I sharing it the whole time?
I would have to pay attention more.
Oh,
I saw
God,
no, I saw the hot tub.
Okay. Oh, okay, got it. Okay. Here's a best of. There's a 4-foot-tall child terrorizing local neighbor users by running up to their cameras with an axe at 3 a.m. for 2 straight weekends. I feel like that would be my child.
I don't think so.
That's hilarious. Okay.
It's just, I mean, I like the Nextdoor site. Like I said, I appreciate it. They did have one that they had some kind of insect, and it was a real weird looking insect. They want to know, has anybody seen anything like this, and what is it? So stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So they have a lot of strange things in there.
This person said that CeraVe SPF lotion, I do like CeraVe, where the black line is how much I've used. I really didn't like it. And it was listed for $11.
Oh, stop it, people. First of all, you've had your hands on it and everything. No, people aren't going to pay $11 for used lotion. Stop it.
You never know. I was interested to see, this one says, this is not a dating site. Okay, let's see what this says. This is Jesse, says, public safety alert, police request Delafield residents lock doors and do not let any unknown people into their residence due to a search for a suspect in the area. Suspect is a younger white male. And this person's saying, did anyone get this message just now? Disregard the pup in the background. No, I didn't. Cute dog, though. Cute lady, too.
Oh.
That's the guy they're looking for.
That's him. Like. He watches this stuff, too.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel does this. Does he do a skit about Nextdoor asking why isn't involved? Everyone is sending me to the Nextdoor skit from Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, they must have done a skit.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel is the greatest. So funny. I get a kick out of him.
Look
at that poor little
help guy. With cat. Okay, so I have a problem. My cat Tiffany, well, your cat's name is Tiffany, loves to be an indoor-outdoor cat. The problem is that every time she goes out, she ends up in a fight, and she loses 100% of the time because she's so small and untrained. Poor baby Tiffany. Tiffany's are always fighters, man. Does anyone have any experience with feline self-defense training? Do you have a feline trainer that you recommend? Oh my God, it's Mr. Miyagi. I feel like that if she just had a few basic combat skills, she would hold her own a little bit. Oh, Tiffany. Oh, I want to stalk the comments of this one and see if people are really writing anything. A few basic combat skills. Look at Tiffany. She's my favorite. You just gotta keep doing this with her until she starts really scratching you.
Oh,
yeah. Tiffany's one of them chicks. She starts the fights, but she can't finish it. So she should just keep her mouth shut. Walk away, Tiffany. Not everyone's meant to fight.
That's right.
Not everyone. Oh my God. She's so cute.
She
I
is
love
cute.
Tiffany.
Is that one
I
of those
love
cones
her.
on her head, or what am I seeing there?
Yeah, it's a cone.
Oh, did they have
So
to
she
put
probably has a
cone?
wound and they don't want her to lick it. Or,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we really do have, I mean, there is so much out there for Nextdoor, but ours
Read
has
this
been
one,
pretty
Nana.
mellow. Okay.
I forgot. I bought you something I wanted to show you, but I forgot.
Oh,
Oops. Hold on. Present.
all right.
Sorry, I meant to move my camera.
Funnel cat.
Okay, you read this one to everybody.
Screams at random hours? Question mark. Anyone know anything about the person consistently screaming once every few hours, particularly in the morning? We hear this often. A single scream, shriek, that's definitely a human, not an animal or other noise. It's very clear screaming. Shriek, that's full volume, coming from perhaps blank road. It's an actual scream, not people yelling, fighting, or playing. Does anyone have any knowledge of this and why it's happening? No judgment, just curious and potentially concerned for someone. Well, I would call the police if I was hearing this. And maybe you could save a life instead of putting it on Nextdoor.
How to save a life. Okay, so when early in the pandemic, well, probably midway through the pandemic of 2020, Chell and I were in the pool, and there was a house kind of like kitty corner, and there wasn't a lot of people in that area of the neighborhood. We didn't remember hearing, but we would go to the pool like every night. There was some weird screaming, and we heard it a few times. And we were kind of scared. We were like frozen in the pool, and we're like, what is it? What is it? Are they watching a scary movie? Is it, you just don't know.
Oh, that's frightening.
Yeah.
That's very frightening.
Were they making a sketch? We just came from LA, so we're like, well, maybe they're filming a web series or something. We didn't know.
Maybe not. Yeah.
But we never heard of anyone dead, so.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear.
So there you go.
So yeah, so Nextdoor. I love Nextdoor. It is fun. I love Marketplace.
You gotta look
I love
for more
looking.
drama.
Well,
That's your job.
it's only out there if it's out there. I did not see a lot of drama this week.
Look in the comments, because people will say rude stuff to each other.
Well, sure
You know
they
what I'm
will,
saying?
because they
You did
are
great,
rude.
Nana. You did great.
I know. I just like that. I like the Nextdoor site. I do get a kick out of it. Linda was the one that told me about this Nextdoor site a while back and said you should join because people have things, you can find out, a good doctor, a good dentist, a good mechanic,
spy on
that type
people.
of thing.
You two little Gladys Kravitzes. Amber Lynn says, yeah, maybe it's a therapeutic scream. You're supposed to do it in like pillows, like a pillow scream.
And not get it out into the pool area?
Yeah, okay. Probably not. Well, no, it was in their home, but we could hear it in our pool.
Oh, see, I would.
Or in the pool.
That would make me,
So, okay. So I found a new vintage shop. This kind of goes into our shopping segment, I forgot.
Oh, okay.
And I found all these remember when just like a couple of years ago, it was a really big deal to put, the new thing was to put pins on your jackets. I really haven't
I love
doing
pins
that,
on my
but
jacket.
I found a bunch. I think I'm going to start again. So I found little buttons at this vintage store of my childhood. The first one I found was, remember the show You Can't Do That on Television?
Yes.
And Alanis Morissette I think it was a Canadian show. Canadians, tell me if that's true, but I remember watching it. And then every time they said, I don't know, they would get slimed. So I found a You Can't Do That on Television pin that I'm going to put on.
How is the back? Is it just a pin back or a tie back?
Like a pin.
Oh, okay.
Like,
sure.
Or whatever these are called.
Yeah.
Loved that show. Okay. So then I also found one of my favorite movies from the 80s, which is The Legend of Billie Jean. Remember that? Fair.
Fair is fair. No, what was it?
So
what did she?
The brother's dirt bike got.
Yes, and she cut her hair
by the rich family that ran the town or something, like his son. I got to rewatch it. But all I remember is I told Chell, we got to watch this together because Lisa Simpson gets her period in the back seat of a station wagon in this movie. The woman who voices Lisa Simpson was in this movie and she got her period. And I watched it as a kid and I was like, why is she bleeding? They're like, she's bleeding. I was like, she's bleeding. They thought she was shot or something. It was such a good movie. But the woman, I
was-
don't even know what her name is, who
I
played
don't either, but she cut her
this.
hair. She
So
was on the
beautiful.
run. She was
Oh
beautiful.
yeah, such a good movie. Such a good movie. Okay. Then, speaking of Tiffany the cat, it was like an 80s dream. I found Tiffany the singer.
Yes.
A little
I
pin.
think we're alone
No,
now.
now.
Doesn't seem to be
be anyone around.
But see,
I
we
think
had
we're
that
alone
song.
now. The feeling of our hearts is the only
only
sound.
sound.
Do, 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 do.
We had that
Let
song
it,
back in
let it.
1967, though. That was a remake for her. Okay, anyway.
So that one, and then Nana,
I just
I've
love these little buttons.
never seen. So if you guys don't know, growing up, my favorite movie, what was it, Nana? Let's see how well Nana knows me.
Well,
That I watched over and over again. It was my favorite movie.
Was
I knew
it the
all
Bad
lines.
Seed?
No. It's an 80s movie. My
Oh, it's
favorite
an
movie.
80s. Oh, Dream a Little Dream.
Jeez, it's like I was worried for a second. So Dream a Little Dream with the Coreys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman.
Yes, you were going to marry Corey.
I said that in a previous life, I had been married to him. That's what I told my parents. And I think it's because I had seen Beetlejuice, because I said, I'm serious. And my mom, Nana, was like, what? And I'm like, no, I got in a car accident and I remember, he doesn't remember it. And we died in a pond. And that's how they died in Beetlejuice. But anyways.
Dream a Little Dream. I knew that. I'm so sorry.
I have the poster because my brother got me the poster that I framed a long time ago. And I watched the movie. I mean, I knew all the lines. That's how I knew who Otis Redding was. That's how I knew Van Morrison. I had the soundtrack because they have Into the Mystic on it. And
that is a great button.
I was so excited to find this button because I loved this movie. Watching it now as an adult, I still like it. I mean, it's not as good as when you're younger, but I still love it. I still love it.
I loved Corey Haim. Yes, Care Bear saying.
Okay.
License to Drive, Rebecca
and then
saying.
For
you
you,
like that
Nana.
one too.
Oh, I like License to Drive, but Dream a Little Dream is the best Corey's movie. I don't know if a lot of people will agree with me because it's kind of an unpopular opinion, but to me, and it has Meredith Salinger, and Meredith Salinger went on to marry Patton Oswalt, who is a comedian. And I always think I might see her at the Improv, or I might see her at a show, or somehow me and Patton Oswalt are probably going to work together on something in the future. I want to because then I can meet Meredith Salinger because she played
That's cool.
Lainey in the movie.
I love Lainey.
Everyone
I love that name.
Everyone wanted to be Lainey, you know.
Look at this. What's going on with this hair?
And then I got this one for you. The Facts of Life.
I just watched it today.
You take them all. Good, you take the bad, you take them all.
The Facts of Life.
So yeah.
And Mrs.
So it was
Garrett.
I'll take you to that vintage store because they have a bunch of stuff, but I was like, oh, pins, big deal, you know. I have a bunch of pins. And then I saw the pins. I was like, The Legend of Billie Jean? Tiffany? You came to that on television?
That was your childhood, which I was a part of, which I watched all this stuff too. And I love Saved by the Bell when you guys would watch that. You guys know every line on Saved by the Bell between you and your brother. Oh my gosh. I loved it. Love Corey Haim. Yes.
Okay.
So yes,
now,
I mean,
how about now that I forgot that for our last segment. Yeah, Patton's great. Like I like him, but I like his wife even more. And the interesting thing about Patton Oswalt is it's a sad thing. I shouldn't say interesting is, he was married. And he was married to a woman who was an author and a crime author. And she was actually doing a lot of research and writing a book, or maybe multiple books, about the Golden State Killer. And she just happened to pass away unexpectedly in her sleep. I think it was some kind of something with maybe medications not agreeing with each other, or something happened. And they had a small daughter, a very young daughter. And it was so sad because they were like a great couple. She was successful. He was successful. And then you were just like, oh, this little girl's left without a mother. And then he meets Meredith Salinger. And she was like the 80s, dream. Remember she was in the Jimmy Reardon movie with River Phoenix. She got to be his girlfriend, The Life and Times, I think, of Jimmy Reardon. She was just so beautiful. Just everything. And she meets Patton Oswalt. I don't think she had ever been married. She never had any kids of her own. So she ends up marrying Patton Oswalt and adopting the little girl. And so now she has like a mom and a family, you know. So
Jamie B. I love the
Nana,
movie.
I was
Don't Tell
just saying
Mom.
something and you just were like, oh yeah, anyways, back to Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which yes, is a great movie, but we were talking about something heartbreaking and heartwarming.
Oh, I wanted to hear it too.
What am I gonna do with you?
Honey, I was listening.
No, you were like, I can't wait to highlight this comment.
I know, I can't wait. But we love that movie. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
It was
We love
just
that.
on. Adventures in
know.
Babysitting was, I liked it even more.
So did
Um,
I. So did I.
Because Elizabeth Shue is, well, I mean, I like them both for different reasons. Elizabeth Shue, it was so cool because they went down to that blues bar and they were like, it was like they were getting all this trouble and crime. And I used to think, oh, that would be so cool. But then I also thought it was cool that Christina Applegate in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, that she got to pretend to be an adult and go to work. I thought, how cool is that? And now I'm an adult who has to go to work. And I'm like, it's not cool.
It's not
horrible.
fun and it's not cool.
What did she always say to her boss? Like, I'll be right on that.
I'll be right on it, Rose.
Yeah, I'll be right on that, Rose. I'll be right on that.
And then
Right
she
on
was
that,
taking
Rose.
money ahead of the game.
From the petty cash.
Yes.
And using it. And then her brothers and sisters used it on a bunch of stuff as well. Okay. Do you have anything? Have you been following your YouTube channel, The Sheriff? People were asking in the chat. If you've been watching it.
I have been watching it.
What happened? Anything good?
I can't remember if there was anything. They had a couple, stolen cars that they were following and stuff. And by the time that Pat and Fletcher, Sheriff Fletcher got there, there was enough police that surrounded the car and
Did
stuff.
you ever see anyone arrested or anything?
Sometimes you do. That's, so often they're just getting, you got some of that. So often they're just, driving around and they'll see something. They'll hear something on the radio. They got like 3 or 4 radios going at one time. It gets a little confusing. Now they've opened it up to 4 or 5 different other sheriffs, people in the sheriff's department.
Yep. Who take you on this ride along in their car.
Now this has got to be Como, isn't it?
No, it's downtown St. Paul, and you can see they're headed toward the the church thingy, right?
No, that was University. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, University, because there was a McDonald's that used to be a bank.
They're going to do the Capitol. They're going to look something with the Capitol.
It just is, yeah, it's interesting. I like watching it because I like to see where they are and how some of our neighborhoods have changed so much that I just don't, especially since the light rail came in, that's changed University so much.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a lot bigger now. Wasn't Corey Haim Kyle Richards' boyfriend? I think no, she was with that one other 80s star. What was his name? He was a little older than Corey. Something.
Did he get sober? What's his name?
I don't remember. Someone in the chat will know.
Kyle Richards' boyfriend from the 80s. It was
Here, I'll look it up real quick. Kyle Richards' boyfriend from the 80s. Kyle Richards.
And then just give us the
80s BF.
Don't tell us who it is. Just give us his initials.
Andy Cohen.
Give us his initials.
It's 3 CTH. He was a big deal.
CTH.
In the 80s. C. Thomas Howell.
Who would it be?
C. Thomas Howell. That's his name.
Oh, I thought you said C. Thomas Howell. C. Judy Run. Run, Spot, run. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Spygirl says, Jolene, another chapter to Patton Oswalt's wife. They picked up on the work/research the first wife did on the California killer and did a book and a movie, I think. So unusual. Yes, because she had been working on that when she passed. And then she didn't live to see that they actually caught the guy. But she put a lot of work into that and was quite the author and all that stuff.
And how did she die, honey?
Well, if you were listening when I told you originally, when not looking at the comments, it was, I think, a mix of like medications that didn't, agree. There was no like drug addiction, anything like that. It was something, I think it was something she died in her sleep and like mixed something with something that shouldn't have been.
Okay.
So some kind of reaction to medication. But yes. Okay. So let's see. They're going to go by the state capitol. So let's just tune in on them for a second.
Passed on to other team members.
Yeah, listening to
what
the
they're
cat team members coordinate
saying.
with each other, communicate with each other when they first found out about that Mercedes being pursued was
There's a
it was
Mercedes
pretty cool to listen to.
they're looking for. They
They're
said.
a well-oiled machine.
I thought. Maybe they're talking about a previous.
So 2 days ago, it wasn't 2 days ago now, right? Or was it yesterday?
Is that
We had
Bob?
a very serious incident up here at the Jimmy Lee Recreation
That
Center.
was 2 days.
2 days ago, yeah.
Bringing
We had
up
another
the
one
Jimmy
today
Lee
at Washington Magnet. There
Recreation
was a bike
Center.
involving a gun. But we're strolling on Lexington here, just south of
What happened at the Jimmy Lee Recreation Center? And who the hell is Jimmy Lee? And where's that recreation center?
The recreation center is going right where they're going. It's across the street, kind of kitty corner from Central High School.
Okay.
And there was someone shot there. And it
Oh,
was an
geez.
employee that came in and shot.
Is that the one you were telling us about?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said that happened at a Jiffy Loop or Jimmy Lee. Oh, you did say recreation center.
Yeah,
Okay.
recreation center.
Oh, bummer. Okay. Sorry.
94, Interstate 94. A lot of you are familiar with that. On our right is Central High School. And on our left is the Jimmy Lee Recreation Center, which, by the way, is an amazing facility. I got to tell you, I have a long history with this facility, and it does a great public service.
It really does. It is probably the nicest rec center in the city.
Really?
It's a great history here because besides
Nicer than
the
Phelan?
Jimmy Lee Recreation Center, which now it's kind of all called that, but the Oxford Pool is here. And it's
What?
just a great facility for teaching kids how to swim. As a matter of fact,
That does look nice. Those Central kids got it all. That area, they got it all. Because we got the junk over on the east side, and they got the nice stuff.
when I was back at the St. Paul Police Department, we rented the pool to help young immigrant kids that didn't know how to swim. We were having a lot of drownings in the Hmong community. So, but I'm just going to show you the facility here because
It is
the pool
beautiful,
is behind
isn't
this
it?
building here.
hmm
But here you're looking at the Jimmy Lee Recreation Center.
When was that built? Because I don't remember that.
Honey, I have not been up in that neighborhood in a long time. Since I
So you don't know.
wasn't working in that. I was working kind of in that area,
Mhm.
and we'd go down University to go to lunch. But I don't know when this was finished.
I don't remember. It looks kind of new.
It does look new. You're right.
Mhm.
I just saw somebody walking.
Hope they saw someone walking. They're going.
We're going to try this. We just got there's a suicidal party. We are going to try to stop the person from getting to the bridge. Paul just came out.
I believe they were on the
Every time we tune in, it's an
I know.
attempt thing.
It
It's crazy.
is.
west side of the street.
This is.
You just got to try to engage them in conversation.
Have you seen this one?
I heard about it.
Did they make it in
didn't-
time?
Didn't see it. Yes, I believe they did.
Oh, okay.
And I
Or-
think they were
You
going
looked
down.
worried.
Less policey than you, Pat. See, I think I should try first.
You looked worried.
If this is the one, they are down on Smith. They're on the, I think, the High Bridge.
Can you tell the story about Aunt Babe?
No.
Why?
No.
It's such a good story. It turns out so well. I think I've told it before.
Yeah. I just had an aunt that had a lot of
Well, no,
problems.
but I mean, how it was tied into your life and dad and
yeah,
you don't have to talk about it. I just thought that
I-
was like, I just found
It's-
it to
it's
be
funny
so
be-
fascinating because
It's
of
strange
how.
because St. Paul is so small.
Mhm.
I'll just say my aunt had terrible nerve problems and things, and she tried to take her life. She jumped off a bridge in St. Paul, Minnesota. And this was on St. Patty's Day. And she jumped
What
off
year
the
was it?
bridge. And I want to say it was early 90s or late 80s.
Okay, so I was around. You were married to dad, all that. Okay.
Oh yeah. And I was
Mhm.
working at the Capitol, and we had worked a full 24-hour shift. It was the session, and they were going long. And I got home, and my mom called me and said that your Aunt Babe jumped off this bridge. So
Which bridge was it?
it was, I want to say, was it Robert Street
Okay.
Bridge? And Harriet Island is underneath there, if I'm thinking of the right bridge. Yeah. And my brother-in-law owned a company over on the west side, and his two employees said, we would like to take the day off. We want to go down to the parade. And for St. Patty's Day, we have a big parade downtown St. Paul, and it's just a crazy drunken fest. And they wanted to go. So he gave them the day off. Come to find out, they pulled up to like Harriet Island to drop off their car, walk across the bridge, and they were going to go to the St. Paul big parade. They saw a woman that jumped off the bridge, and they went out and saved her on the ice, you know, because that river just keeps going. But she
Well,
had
wasn't she wearing like a big fur,
big,
like
fluffy
faux fur coat,
faux
and
fur
it kind
coat,
of
and it kept
kept her
her
above,
buoyant.
her head above?
It kept her buoyant, and they
Because there was
pulled,
ice probably still on
yes,
the.
and they pulled her out. These two people, and then later on that night, my brother-in-law called Paul and my husband and said, I can't believe two of my employees rescued this woman out of the river. And Paul says, well, that woman was Eileen's aunt, and she did
Isn't that-
survive.
I always
So I
thought
found that was so weird, the way that
Yeah.
connected and stuff. And because, yeah, just she was just a fun aunt and stuff. And like
was
I
so
said,
fun.
she had issues.
mental illness.
Yeah.
It's
And
like a lot of us. But I wanted you to share that story because they were talking about, they were going, and every time we tune in, there's some kind of person, having a mental health crisis.
yes,
But this story
warrior.
ended up with, it's still horrible and traumatic that, she was at that point. But I think when Babe was coming up and with mental health, they knew so little. Like they did like experimental things on her for mental health. But the fact that she was saved by
that she could have
your husband's brother's employees, like they just happened to find her, save her. It was just such a crazy.
And warrior empaths healing from narcissistic abuse. Yes, you were right. Harriet Island is just below the Wabasha Street Bridge. So it has been many years, and it was the Wabasha Street Bridge, not Robert.
Yeah. So after that happened, did they, because I was so little, I don't remember, did they get, I know then it said the early 90s, late 80s. So still like mental health stuff wasn't, especially for someone her age, wasn't as, progressed as it is now. It wasn't as bad as when she was younger, but were they able to get her help? And because all I remember about Aunt Babe is that she was so fun to play with. She would dress up with me.
I know.
And we have pictures, and I would wear her wigs, and we would pretend to put on a show with your grandma, my great grandma, because they lived together.
Absolutely delightful, and you hate to see that happen in any family, but it does. Mental illness, it doesn't skip because you got money. It doesn't skip over you because you don't have any money. It's there, and she hadn't taken her medication. So without medication, start thinking some strange things. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And we're seeing so many young people with this attempt.
Antidepressant I'm on is, what's it called? Pristique. And I really like it as far as antidepressants go, but I was out of it for a few days, or maybe even longer than a few days. And I was trying to get it refilled, and they said, oh, never let it go like that, because that is one of the side effects is feeling suicidal
tendencies.
Yes. And so I was like, when they'd say that was, when you hear the commercials and they say diarrhea, but there were a couple days there where I was felt very hopeless, and Charles was like, he was worried, like, so like when you say medication stuff, it's and you can't just, I think what people don't understand is when you are prescribed something like that, you can't just stop taking it. You have to seek the advice of a medical professional, because that can exacerbate, or whatever the word is, make it worse by just stopping taking it. So, right. And I think and throughout my life, trying being diagnosed and put on different antidepressants, I had stopped taking stuff before. But this one was probably the worst one. And they were like, yeah, that is one of the effects. So that could have, happened to Babe at the time. But were they able to did you say they're able to get her help? And
oh yes, most definitely. And she was in the hospital for a very long time with a body cast, but she was able to walk again and everything. It was just thank God. I mean, she
Yeah.
just she came through this. So
Mhm. Yeah, but like you said, it hits every family. It hits every one. I mean, everyone has their
yes.
own experience, whether it's a family member or themselves with mental health stuff. So I think it's, important to talk about. So I appreciate you sharing that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I apologize. You and I, sometimes I forget because you and I just talk about these things all the time. And I'm so transparent I tell stories all the time. So sometimes I forget that you might have not have been comfortable sharing that. So I'm sorry if I put you on the spot.
No, that's all
Yeah.
right. I mean, she just was a delightful woman, and she got help, and she came through it. I mean, not
Mhm.
many people could take that type of abuse and come on the other side, so it turned out well that these two men saw her and were pulled her into
And the
safety.
fact that they went out there to get her. I mean, that's your March, you're talking, those waters must have been so cold and were able to successfully go out there
Right.
and save her. Care Bear says, yes, it was Care Bear's birthday Tuesday. Happy birthday week still, Care Bear. My doctor told me not to go a few days without my meds because the therapeutic dose would drop out of my system and could cause issues and make things worse. Yes. And I experienced
Yes.
that firsthand where I was just very down, hopeless, all the stuff.
It's a horrible, horrible feeling. You wouldn't wish it on anyone.
No.
And you just and we just always thank God every day for another day. Okay.
Nana's always thanking God.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be.
So
We're doing a better and better job of catching
Oh yeah.
offenders.
Oh yeah.
And
catching
I gotta
offenders.
give the camera people. We're gonna drive over here to Cayuga and Jackson, where the
Oh, hey, there's that little bar by the Capitol.
Yep.
That's not the one Bob worked at, though.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, you did? Okay. That's where. Hi, Uncle Bob's old bar. I remember going in. That's the bar we went into as kids. And at the end of the night, they would tip the claw machine. And I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I could drink all the kitty cocktails. They had little games. And then they would tip, and this is like the 80s, they would tip the claw machine and we'd get all the best stuffed animals. I thought
that was so fun.
So
I know.
fun.
So now we're going on to
Reports on that.
Jackson Street.
That was really some
Yeah,
good
I know where we are. We'll be by Cemetery
kind of a
soon.
part of every
They
major
take a
incident
left,
this week.
and they are.
well, I don't know if it's insomnia that keeps me out here or just.
And
There's a
that's
cemetery.
I'll say this: my kid's the same way, Bobby. He likes
What
jobs
cemetery is it?
oh my God, I know this stuff.
where
It
at the
was
end of the job you feel like
it's one of the
accomplished.
oldest cemeteries in Minnesota.
You know what I mean?
1853 it was
So,
established.
like you always love
It's
mowing the lawn.
Oakland Cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Oakland, Jackson. It's got Jackson, and then Front Street is the other side of it in Park. So yes, it's huge cemetery.
Oh, yeah. I've driven by it so many times, obviously coming from the state capitol. And that's where Nana worked forever and ever and a day.
Now, if
So-
anybody knew anything about, there used to be a black angel statue there. And what it was is if you touch the black angel at midnight, you wouldn't see morning. That's what people would say.
What? Nana,
that's what
tell
people-
us about this more.
Well, no, that's
please.
what people would say. And the black angel stood on this pedestal, cement pedestal that
You
said,
took a picture with it.
yeah,
And you were
that-
hugging it.
yeah, that Annunciation, men call death is what it said. And so they got rid of the black angel. It's in storage now because there's been
Why?
because people would get in there and try to move like this 800
Like
pound
you.
statue. I didn't
Like
hurt
you and your
anything.
friends. But
We
you
didn't
guys
hurt
would-
anything. We
I
didn't
know, but
hurt
you went in
anything.
there, you took pictures with it.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying we didn't go in there to harm it, to harm anything.
So you hugged it. Were you afraid you were gonna not see
No.
the morning?
No, it wasn't midnight. Okay.
Oh, it had to be midnight? Is that what you said?
Yep, it had to be midnight. If you touched her and it had to be midnight, that was an old wives' tale, But anybody that grew up like the Rice Street area and stuff knew Oakland Cemetery and certainly knew the Black Angel.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, thanks, Linda. Here's Linda Oakland. I couldn't think of the name, Linda.
Mhm.
I went, I love that, Nana. Thanks God. I do too, Nana. Good, Stephanie. I like that.
Reactions are real. My sis had new medicine for nerve pain, and a week later, she was writing notes on toilet paper and flushing them. It was scary. Yeah, it's the brain, everything. It's very tricky. It's
Yes, it is.
and you just, that stuff you got to take seriously. Unfortunately, some people will like weaponize that sort of thing on platforms like this to get attention and money and things, but it's a very real thing for
Oh, most definitely. Most
people.
definitely. So we were with the police, with the
Yep.
sheriff. And it's such a fun thing to watch only because we know the neighborhoods and where you grew up.
Mhm.
And where you travel to. So it's just kind of fun for me just to watch where they go. And they're trying to be helpful in the community, and I know everyone has their thoughts on, and certainly I've heard that.
Well, it's so interesting because last night I spent most of the night after, well, Nana said, or was it last night? So last night was Thursday, I didn't go live. But when I talked to Nana Thursday, and Nana said, who did you go live with last night? And I said, you. I went live with you. Oh, okay. But I spent the night like watching stuff. Okay. So I'm putting together this little video, and I like to discover new channels and new stuff. And I was watching this guy. So I found, shout out to this guy, sociologist Ray. Okay. So he is, speaking of the police and stuff. So this is what he specializes in. So he, using stats to empower Black people to become truly free in a racially inequitable world by learning personal and policy strategies for racial uplift, activism, and wealth development. So he is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. He's also a professor of sociology and executive director of the Lab for Applied Social Science Research at the University of Maryland. Okay. He testifies at the federal and state levels on racial equity, policing, and criminal justice reform, health policy, wealth, and family policy. He has published over 50 books, articles, and book chapters, and over 50 op-eds. Ray has written for the Washington Post, New York Times. I think he was just on CNN as well.
Oh,
Yep, CNN, because I started following him on Instagram as well. MSNBC, the BBC, C-SPAN, all the stuff. Ray's books include Systemic Racism in America and How Families Matter. So basically, I watched a talk he gave to his fellow sociologists. Mute that. To his fellow sociologists, they were at like kind of a conference, and he was speaking about police brutality, defunding the police, like all these different, which obviously is a good term because it doesn't even say what defunding the police, the movement actually is. It's more about reallocating and making sure the right people are dealing in the right situations and are prepared and moving around money, because he was teaching me so much about this, Nana, regarding police officers, because he himself was like, I don't think cops get paid enough. And I do think it is a scary job, but he also uses statistics and things to show that there is, an inequity, and also to explain through sociology why that occurs and why there is, despite African Americans being a small percent when they're doing these stats compared to white Americans, why there's still so many more African Americans who are killed by the police unarmed, and African American children that are killed by the police and things. So just to kind of educate people. And he brought up things that I hadn't thought of before, and just how that in a lot of these, there are states that are taking measures that will be very helpful, or already starting and might become hopefully the new normal or new practice. But do you know that just as a taxpayer yourself, you end up paying out so much money to these wrongful death suits, because the police themselves aren't paying out these civil lawsuits and things like that. They actually tax it on all of us. They put it on, with like home tax, different things. They increase that in order for the city to be able to pay for these
Wrongful death.
lawsuits, and how, he was just like mentioning, police having, carrying insurance. Like they have insurance on their cars, their police cars, they have insurance on so many things, but not actually, out there, on themselves. And so it was just so many different things that he was mentioning. It was like an hour and a half. And I just loved this guy. I wish I could find, I want to play just like a little piece of it, because it was, no matter what side of, like, he even talked about politics. He's like, not all sociologists, you'd be surprised, are, liberal or progressive. They fall in other realms as well. And I think
He looks like he's a young man too. Am I
mean,
right with that?
he's probably like a little younger than me, my age, maybe a little younger.
Yeah, that's why I said young.
So I'm just trying to, is this one addressing? I don't think it's this one. I'm trying to think of the one. I wish I could see, like, what did I watch already last night? And I actually screen grabbed it because I'm going to use clips of it for a video that I'm making, but I wasn't aware of him before. So, and he has like a pretty good following on Instagram, I think. But here he has, like 14,000 subscribers, but he should have a bunch more. And just the way that he explains everything, and everything can be seen, because it's not just an emotions thing. There's actual statistical proof. And there are people that are out there, like him and who he works with, providing that. So he went to like IU. I think IU is where he got his master's and his doctorate in sociology. And he comes from a long line of family members who were worked for the police, or also were military. I think his mom was the first. What was she? She was some kind of first something within the military, or grandma. I think it was probably grandma, because he's too young for his mom to be. But it was just so interesting, as we kind of talk about, in with cameras, and how much cameras actually help and how much it doesn't. Because if you look back at the George Floyd case, it wasn't only the cop cameras. To prosecute and to convict Derek Chauvin, they needed like 1 million witnesses, and they needed that young woman and her film of it. And he made another good point. So it's not actually, the cameras actually don't solve everything at all. And within the police force themselves is, there's always that old cliche. It's like, there's always some bad apples. And Chris Rock does a great joke about that, going, well, there's some professions where you can't have bad apples. It's like a pilot, he says. If they get on, they're like, hey, welcome to Sun Country Airlines. Most of our pilots are great. We got a couple bad apples that don't like to land the plane, that want to crash the plane. So what this guy was talking about, Ray, sociologist Ray, is he was saying it's not when you have cops within a system that see bad behavior happening and see corrupt police officers and police officers that are doing wrong, and want to say something. A lot of times it's because they are afraid to, because then, you're putting your life on the line. The fear is that you're no longer protected.
Oh, absolutely. Retaliation from the other police officers.
Things like that. Yeah, the way he described it was a lot more. He described it better than I did, but it was just.
I think you're describing it really well. It's kind of like that movie Serpico, where
I never saw that.
Oh, it's so good. You'd love it. And a lot of the police on the force were on the take for money, and he never would take any. So they started not trusting him. What's wrong with him? He's not taking the money. The rest of us are. Oh. Is he going to narc on us and things like that?
Yeah, because then you go against the system.
That's right.
And then you are, you put yourself at risk as well. So it was just, 1 year ago, I think it was last year, and he was at a college talking, and he's done so many. I didn't know he did this many, but obviously, yeah, he's on CNN and all these things. But it was just, who is Al Pacino in Serpico?
Yes, it was so good.
What year
It
did
was
this
one of
come
my
out?
favorite movies, 1970, 71, right in there. Maybe I'm 73, right in that
Let me
era.
peek and see if
Serpico,
I
it's
can
so
find
good.
it in what I watched yesterday. I think I watched it under my other account. Maybe it was under my Sibling key. Let me see here if it'll say what I watched. Tell me what I've watched, what I really, really watched. So tell me what I watched, what I really, really watched.
Odell Chick saying Serpico is a classic, and it is. And Morris, hi Morris. Morris is here. Serpico, he loved it too. Big heart. It is. It's such a good movie.
I've never seen it.
You just absolutely love it. It's so good. And he was an undercover police officer, and the looks that he'd have and the long hair, and he had this great big old dog. He just was I just loved him. Love Serpico.
Yeah, the dog.
He had a great big sheepdog. 1973, right after The Godfather, Morris is saying. So I thought it was right in that era.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Okay. You feel free to pull up a couple comments while I look for this, Nana.
Okay.
Oh, I think I found it.
And this Odell Chick, this was the New York Police Department that they were. It's just so good. You just didn't realize that there's so much graft and so much people on the take for money and stuff.
That's crazy. Okay, I found it. So this is the one I watched last night, and because I was watching some of the drama channels, and there are these women, and I think there's some people that, there's definite conversations happening where people aren't understanding their privilege. So you have that's when you have like the I back the blue lives matter type things, people, and you're just like, it's just so frustrating because you feel as though like you're speaking from a place of privilege, and we shouldn't, we shouldn't question these institutions. It's like you should question every institution, and you should want to make every institution better than it is and find out. And you can't just pass things off as a few bad apples, because first of all, it's not true, because it's become a system of issues, and what the system is built on is what they're acting off of. And so it's not actually just a couple bad apple guys. It takes actually a lot of people to have as many, murders and things that we've seen through the years of unarmed Black Americans. And, so he breaks down, we'll just watch a little bit of it here, and I'll see if I can. There's just so much, but I definitely recommend you guys go.
And Ryan also talked about, which we know based on attacks with critical race theory, based on attacks with trying to ban.
Yeah, so he's talking about, there's so many attacks on, critical race theory and different things like that.
Like gay and other sorts of things that we know that we are in a big battle for kind of what people might consider the soul of America. I tend to think as academics and sociologists for not only what truth is, but how we think about rigorous science and what we value that to actually be. If you look at this image here, besides one being in black and white and one being in color, I don't know about you, but I actually can't tell the differences between the two.
So he has one picture from 1964 and one picture from 2014, and it's protesters and it's police basically acting the same against protesters. So instead of us fixing the issues, we're still looking at it like 1964, where, protesters are like Black Lives Matter. Like that's the problem, not actually the institutions that are failing, people.
One is from 1964, as you see, the other is from 2014. And this started a lot of the work that I started doing on policing, particularly when it came to examining data on Twitter. This is the sort of images that became very popular during the Black Lives Matter movement. But this is the sort of image that law enforcement would have us to believe really, really exists in America. One thing I know from studying law enforcement for roughly a decade is both of those things can be true. But that still doesn't mean that the image on the bottom left isn't much more problematic, obviously, and something that needs to be addressed. And simply because we have those images on the top right.
So I'm just going to skip ahead just a little bit, but he does, they did research off of Twitter, and they followed, it was very similar to like the Johnny Depp case, where they were following different hashtags and things, because that really, you can see what's really happening in the world. And he was able to tie a lot of this, because there is a lot of things that can be controlled, narratives that can be controlled with certain groups and things via Twitter and via hashtags and different propaganda that can be put out there. And we've seen that happen time and time again. But I just thought it was just so fascinating. I was like, this work is like, I should have went to school for this shit. This seems so fascinating. So obviously, let's see what he's talking about here.
Convicted of murder. And they posted on Facebook and with themselves, Black Lives Don't Matter. And eventually they got to Black Lives Matter. And here we are today.
Okay. So this is where he's saying how the Black Lives Matter movement even started.
On implicit bias trainings with roughly 1,200 police officers that Genesis was fundamentally a part of during that process. And then interviews that we also conducted with police officers and civilians in the mid-Atlantic area. And then our virtual reality and computer experimental data from roughly 100 police officers. Here's the roadmap. I consider these like infomercials. So put your seatbelts on again, because I'm going to cover these points, particularly the first few, rather quickly. I think people's knowledge during this racial awakening moment have kind of scaled up. I don't have to spend as much time on that, but I will spend time particularly on the last sets of studies as I go through. Obviously, as you all know, with the evolution of Black Lives Matter, that people oftentimes talk about it in the context of Michael Brown and Ferguson. And part of thinking about this is that was the moment in which we saw a lot of catalysts and a lot of things happen. But of course, you know that the Black Lives Matter movement started with Trayvon Martin, where 3 Black queer women saw what was happening with him after George Zimmerman was not convicted of murder. And they posted on Facebook and with themselves, Black Lives Don't Matter. And eventually they got to Black Lives Matter. And here we are today. Now, one thing that you probably don't know, and I'm going to ask you all to raise your hands again. It's just so good.
And I didn't know this.
Interact with people.
When
see people raise their hands. Raise your hand if you knew that the HOA in Sanford, Florida, paid the Martin family $1 million for wrongful death. Raise your hand if you knew that.
Did you know that, Nana?
No, I did not.
We got a 3 and a
so
possible.
The HOA paid for Zimmerman.
3 and a possible. So we get that, right? So let's think about it like this.
Paid the family because of Zimmerman.
You all are academic sociologists. You all know this stuff. Raise your hand if you didn't know this.
Like most people didn't know that.
There's so much more that we can learn. I want you all to think about this. Probably regardless of how you feel about what happened to Trayvon Martin, and based on the people in this room, I can probably think, but sometimes we don't know, right? There's an assumption about sociologists that we got some type of political slant. I sit in a lot of meetings, and that's not always the case. But accordingly, if you think about this, regardless of probably how you feel about it, you probably would feel some kind of way if your HOA money went to pay a family because a rogue person who lives there became a neighborhood watch person and killed this boy. And I say boy because last time I checked, Trayvon Martin was 17 and you are not an adult yet. So one of the things we know from research is that oftentimes, particularly Black boys, Latino boys as well, they are oftentimes aged up, perceived that they're older. And then the older we get, it's perceived that we're younger.
And speaking in the pop culture, atmosphere or whatever, that is true. What we saw happen on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills with Garcelle's 14-year-old sons, the way Erica Jane spoke to her 14-year-old sons and the other women's reaction was very much what I think sociologist Ray, I forget his last name, but his channel is called Sociologist Ray. What he is saying is that, young Black boys are aged up. So like Kyle and all of them and Dorit and Erica, they're all conditioned to not look at Garcelle's her boys, like her they're 14 years old. Those are kids.
Right.
Her kids as kids. Even Erica was like, well, isn't he like 17 or something? It's like, no, bitch, he was 14 years old and you spoke to him like a dog. Like you spoke so horribly to him. And everyone else's reaction was just like, but had it been done to one of their white children, they would have seen them as the age they are. So it's these little things, these little implicit biases, these little things that we've been conditioned to believe and see that if we have understanding of this, then when that happens, when our brain goes there, we can click and go, oh, no. That's just what I've been conditioned to think. That's just what society has kind of, become this norm, as Mikey's saying in the chat. But the norm doesn't mean it should be the status quo. Do you know what I mean? I just found that really interesting because we see it in every facet. We see it everywhere in the world. And we saw it on our own, reality shows, because what happened with Garcelle's sons was just so ridiculous because they were babies. They're 14. That's right. That's kids,
Know about policing is that then widens the range by which we are over policed. Not saying we don't see 12-year-olds over police. We know about Tamir Rice. And not saying we don't see 50 and 60-year-olds over police. You can look up Joseph Sushank and see what happened to him. But part of thinking about this is these are the sort of things that we didn't know. So early on, what I wanted to do with some of our colleagues was to figure out what was happening on the ground.
So
Melissa
interesting.
Brown, who was a professor at Santa Clara, she did a postdoc at Stanford. She was one of my students, phenomenal. She came to my office one day and was like, Rayshawn, it's a lot happening on Twitter. And I was like, Twitter? I was like, yeah, people just posting on stuff. It's like Facebook. She was like, no, it's not like Facebook.
Not Facebook.
Because this generational shift. So similar to how people today are like all on TikTok. I'll just tell y'all, I like Twitter. I like Instagram. Hit me up, post stuff. Slightly too old maybe for TikTok. I'm trying to figure it out. Somebody give me a tutorial. I can't figure it out yet. My kids are trying to help me. But the whole point is we put together this data set with some humanists on campus in the Maryland Institute for Technology and the Humanities. We collected data over 1 year in Ferguson. So every tweet that mentioned the word Ferguson, we collected it. We scraped it, we analyzed it. So I'm gonna give you all some big highlights.
Isn't that interesting?
First big thing is there were 4 big time periods that you all are familiar with. Killing of Michael Brown. Second was the non-indictment of Darren Wilson, who was the officer who killed Michael Brown. And then the Department of Justice report, which came out in March, late February, March. And then the 1 year aftermath of his death. What are some of the biggest things we found? Well, these were some of the big images that are now commonplace, but we go back about 8 years and these sort of things were not commonplace. Seeing people in solidarity. These were some of the images that were not as popular then, that have become more popular, but they were going on then as well. Because one of the things that happens with social media that I love about it, it allows people to circumvent traditional modes of communication. You don't have to go on CNN and get your voice out. You can actually post. You can get a following. People pay attention to you. And it doesn't even matter how big your following is. Oftentimes it matters who is following you, how influential are you. So you have to kind of think through those sort of things. Monks coming from Myanmar, and then on the bottom left and the top left and the top right, looking like something that we might actually see right now on the news that's happening in Ukraine. That was right in Ferguson, right across the line in St. Louis, from where Derek Jones, one of my friends who came in, who actually drove up from St. Louis to come and watch me here today, is here where him and his brother, who was my roommate in college, Keith Jones, grew up at.
He reminded me of you because he would shout out his friends too.
Sort of we could also map the popularity of certain hashtags. This is showing the popularity of the hashtag Black Lives Matter. If you look at this, see, even though what started happening in September with Michael Brown was happening on the ground, it really exploded on Twitter in November of that year. That was when Darren Wilson was not indicted. This huge spike was the night that he was not indicted. If you were like me, you were probably watching TV. If you were like some people I know in St. Louis or other places, you were probably there. I remember actually looking on CNN and seeing one of my colleagues, Keon Gilbert, who's a professor at St. Louis University. And I was literally sitting there. I was calling him. I was like, where are you at? Is everything okay? Then I saw him walk across the screen on CNN. I was like, can you go home? But that's neither here nor there. The other thing we know is there were all of these protests that happened. And up until the Women's March, this was the most protests that had happened in American history at one point in time. The other thing we could do is we could track the growth of a hashtag. We could track the growth of a social movement. We don't have to go through archives like we used to, which is still very, very important for doing historical analysis, but we can document the now. And if you look at this, Black Lives Matter was not really popular at the time Michael Brown was killed, but instantly became one of the most popular hashtags, only behind Michael Brown and Mike Brown, and one more that I'm going to tell you about in a second. Some of the big themes that came out of people who were using the Black Lives Matter hashtag. So if you use that, we analyzed a subset of these. Blacks kill with impunity and whites not. So people would post images of white people who had killed people, who were apprehended peacefully, or like in the case of Dylan Roof, who had just murdered 9 people in a church. They took this joker to Burger King on his way to jail, like those sort of images. And then black people who had not killed anyone who were actually killed by police. And then also displays of activism like this one. Telling me that I'm obsessed with talking about racism in America is like telling me I'm obsessed with swimming when I'm drowning. And then, of course, displays of activism from, at the time, the St. Louis Rams, now the LA Rams. They just won a Super Bowl. I'm sure people in St. Louis heard over that. I'm sure they are. But you had academics like Mary Berry. You have lockdowns from DC, people blocking streets, and what's happening in New York, to going to other places, even around the country, like, or even around the world, like Toronto and also in England. But as people know who study social movements, for every narrative, there's a counter narrative. The counter narrative with Black Lives Matter is not all lives matter. The media would have us to think that. Yeah. Like where did all lives matter come from? We have literally tried to figure out when was the origin. One conclusion I came to is that it was the media trying to juxtapose that. It wasn't something organic that really came from people, but there was something organic that really came from people. And it's called TCOTs.
Have you ever heard of this,
Top
Nana?
conservatives on Twitter. Here
No.
goes. Second call and response. Raise your hand if you've heard of TCOT.
I never heard of it either. And
One,
these
two,
people in the
three,
audience
four.
hadn't either.
There we go. So this group right here, y'all know everything. This group right here, they know it all. So 4 people. All right. So again,
It's amazing what you can find out
that's the great thing
with
about research,
analytics
right?
and stuff
When you
on Twitter.
specialize in something, you say something that a room full of people don't know, and y'all are smart, right? As Ryan said. So TCOT, I remember when we first started seeing it popping up, because we would get these daily digests of the top used hashtags. We just thought it was like a bot or something. We were like, what the heck is TCOT? We don't know what that is. And then it kept popping up. And Melissa was like, Rashawn, maybe we need to look at this. And it was around football time. I was like, I don't think it's a football related term. So stands for top conservatives on Twitter. This is why you need to know about it, because you already know about it. You just didn't know it was called this.
Top
They take credit for
conservatives on Twitter.
revitalizing the alt-right, or really framing things as being alt-right instead of extremism, right, in terms of white supremacy. They also take credit for cementing the Tea Party in the Republican Party. Think about it. Raise your hand if you hear much about the Tea Party today.
Never, not anymore.
They're still around. You know why? Because moderate Republicans became troublesome bedfellows with Tea Party Republicans, because they knew if they actually separated from them that they would lose a generation. The same way that on the left, that progressives and liberals, particularly moderate liberals, whether that be Joe Biden or Barack Obama, and the list could go on and on, they continue to be troublesome bedfellows, even though we should have multiple political parties in the United States of America. But this overly two-party simplistic system leads to moderate Republicans, or even maybe people like Manchin and Sinema, who should probably be over there, at least they are trying to be in the middle. It leads to them being troublesome bedfellows. So you don't hear about Tea Party Republicans because they've been swallowed up. And that's part of what our party has done over time. But this is how popular TCOT is. This is a word map, essentially, of showing the most popular hashtags. The larger they are,
And look how popular
the more prominent
TCOT
they are in
was,
our data set.
and no one had
TCOT's
heard of
right
it
there.
in the
You know the
audience.
reason why you all don't know about it? Because your algorithm on Twitter is completely different from other people where TCOT's popping up. And in those 32 million tweets we had, less than 0.1% of all those tweets had TCOT and Black Lives Matter in it. And I really searched for them people, because I'm like, they know the matrix. Like, they know something we don't know. Like, who are these people? And this is why you need to know TCOT. Look how popular it was. These are of all the hashtags. Only 4 people in here knew about it. This little group and him, right? Look at the DOJ report. TCOT was number 1. You know what it was doing? Drowning out that Department of Justice report that showed that police officers in Ferguson and that the city was profiting off of stopping Black people as they were going from St. Louis out to the suburbs and back and forth. They drowned that out. That was one of their goals. And they would have images like this. This is according to Darren Wilson.
So you have these organizations that their goal on, either side is to drown out, news and facts, or things that they don't want the mainstream, people to really know about. So that's kind of their goal. And he said the TCOT was also, their goal was to like clean up, dress up the alt-right, kind of the creation of that.
This is what happened. No reason not to believe him. Ferguson decision, Ferguson TCOT. It shows this monster figure. That's supposed to be Michael Brown. Then it shows this little person with a flag. That's supposed to be Darren Wilson. You know what's so interesting about that? Both of these men were large men. They were both 6'4", well over 200 pounds. But you know what Darren Wilson said when he was on the stand? The same sort of explicit stereotypical narratives we hear about Black men. And I say men because Michael Brown had just turned 18. And I'm giving that juxtaposition because instantly, supposedly in America, you go from 17 to 18, you go from a boy to a man. You go from a girl to a woman.
It's very strange.
And we act like that these sort of things don't continue to play out. So Darren Wilson said, I felt like a 5-year-old and he looked like Hulk Hogan. And he said, he looked like a demon. Look, if you like me and my family and people who've seen this stuff and seen us posted, we love Halloween. Like, my family loves Halloween. It's like a thing in my house. We post a whole bunch of stuff about it. One thing that I know about demons is there really only a few ways to take out a demon. You got to cut his head off. You got to shoot it with a silver bullet. I say that to say, because that narrative that exists that is being given to the grand jury, that he looked demonic, suggests to a grand jury that what happened to Michael Brown is justified, particularly when it is a Black body that is being done upon. And that is part of what TCOT is really trying to highlight. And then talking about that if you allow Black Lives Matter to keep going, that they will eventually take over the United States of America and just end our republic and our democracy as we know it. These are the same sort of images that if you go back over time, particularly over the past 100, 150 years, when people were immigrating from Asia, from China, from Japan, these were some of the same sort of images that we would see about the group threat that exists when people pose an economic, political, or cultural threat.
It is so crazy. And like Jay's saying here, TCOT, never heard of them. And I watch a lot of politics. That's the thing. There's always new stuff to learn, because me too. I was just like, what is this TCOT? So the fact that, this sociologist Ray, and they're doing these kind of studies is so fascinating. And the fact that, how the power of propaganda and the power of, unfortunately, like Beth says, some of these crazy people who own some crazy companies or have power are able to spin narratives, and you have actual, like, factual statistics, numbers. They've actually done the work with that, yet still this propaganda is so powerful on social media. And we see that to the point where remember Facebook, Nana, then they were putting out so much misinformation that they had that little, what was it, like a notification, like
It's kind of like a disclaimer.
like this might not be
the truth.
Yeah. And now you can go on website, like YouTube and stuff, and report if misinformation's out there. But I don't know if you get a great response to that, but it's very interesting. You never really know, I guess, until you do this kind of research, who's really pulling the strings with this. Because in the example, he just gave, I mean, that's insane. You put these ideas in people's heads, and all of a sudden it just becomes fact. And that's how, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, that was a justified killing. When no, it was not a justified killing. People are just existing out in the world and going for runs and exercising and getting gunned down for no reason. So it's crazy. It is that fake news and the fake news movement that really came, especially after 2016, because it was normalized. So now you'll hear people all the time say, fake news, fake news, fake news. So yeah. Yeah, if it has a funny pic, like Mara said, it has to be true. It has to be true. Ideas are very powerful, very, very powerful. You would think it would be the Koch brothers. You would think pulled the Tea Party strings, but I mean, I'm just telling you, this Ray. We'll just watch a little bit more, but sorry, Nana. As Nana's like, I don't like talking about politics, but I don't really see this as political. I see this as more like a human issue.
Most definitely it is.
I didn't mean to veer off, but I had watched this all night. I was watching Ray's videos, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I understand sociology and I like sociology, but I was like, what do sociologists really do? I mean, I'm interested in it when I took sociology classes, but I'm like, holy shit, that would be such an interesting and important job, just kind of, what he's describing that he does, and then to go disseminate this information to other professionals in his field, and also, within the media and stuff.
Threat to the status quo. So we see these same sort of things over and over again.
And that it is cyclical, and it is a pattern with this, just like he said, with at a time with the Japanese coming over and things like that. Anyone that it looks to be a threat to the status quo, they're going to have some kind of propaganda or campaign against them.
What do police officers think about this? Well, we interviewed a lot of police officers. One of the biggest things that we found, and I'll say this now, and then you'll see it later. Qualitatively, we saw some differences, but I'll go ahead and foreshadow. Police officers really aren't all that different, regardless of who they are. And I'm going to make this point here.
Yes, Beth.
Is that I want you to look at the yellow bar and the green bar. So I want you to look here, and I want you to look here. These are really experienced officers, white officers, black officers, that overwhelmingly have negative views about Black Lives Matter. How negative? Well, look at this top quote. A white officer with 10 years of experience said, I think Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, is a domestic terrorist organization, just like the KKK, I bet you know, and they're hell-bent on seeing the U.S. burn. Yeah, just think about that.
People believe that.
Some of you all probably
that on
have
Facebook.
worn Black Lives Matter shirts, paraphernalia. You've probably been to something, supported something, taken some university, like public-facing picture, like, yay, we in solidarity with all this stuff, all that kind of stuff, which I think is important, right? I'm part of that stuff too. But I say that to say that this is the framing. So what we saw last summer in DC, where it didn't matter what color you were, and that was a very diverse group of people protesting in DC for Black Lives Matter after George Floyd, that was the reason why Trump was really trying to mobilize the military in the way he did, and why on January 6th, we saw a very different response, where in the state of Maryland, where of course I happen to be, where Governor Larry Hogan, who happens to be a Republican in an interesting state that people think is blue, but we got a Republican governor, just keep that in mind, where he was planning to send people and troops to DC on January 6th, and they told him not to. This is the complications of America, where we saw domestic terrorists storm the U.S. Capitol, and so police officers were kiki and hi with them, while others were trying to defend our so-called republic. Now, when we think about racializing the criminal justice system, you all know a lot of this stuff by now. No matter where we go, no matter what we look at, Black people are disproportionately more likely to be arrested by the cops, stopped on the street, have force used against them, and lethal force used against them. Those are the blue bars, completely out of whack with everybody else. And of course, these are log likelihoods, so you can see that white people are even much less likely to be so. No matter where we go around the country, we can see this. We can look at California, and we see the disproportionality, because you got to think in the state of California, people always, they always increase the number of Black people they see. Like even here, people probably think it's like 50 of us in here. Like it's not. So people always overestimate. In California, it's like 6% Black. So I want you all to keep this in mind when you're seeing these high percentages of what's happening. We can go to other places. We can look at Connecticut. We see the same sort of thing when we look at the green and the gray and the yellow bars. We can also go to another place and look at it the same sort of way, like in Ohio, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland. We can go to Minnesota. No matter where we go, we see it. Oakland, which is the place where I really started doing this work when I was an RWJ health policy fellow at Berkeley. We see that Black people are much more likely to be stopped and questioned and searched. Now, there are some people who say, oh, well, all that makes sense because Black people just do much worse things. They're just bad. I have nothing against them. They're just, something about them. Sometimes they just do bad things. Well, when we actually look at
do you hear that narrative from people? They're like, well, and then you got Black on Black crime and this and that. And you hear people say stuff like this and you're like, that's
actually not what we find. Like, that's what I love about data.
Data.
This is a large report.
The data doesn't lie.
Roughly 700,000 police stops in New York. Height of stop and frisk. What you see here is the percentage of stops by race. You see that a third were Latino, less than 10% were whites, and slightly over half were Black people. This is the number of times force was used against these people. This is the percentage of all roughly these 700,000 stops where they found a contraband, a weapon, or a person who had an outstanding warrant. 2%. It becomes clear that stop and frisk policies are not necessarily about trying to prevent people from doing crime. It's about policing people who are in a particular space. This same study has been replicated as lately as of Washington, D.C., where over 90% of all the people who were stopped, who had use of force used against them, and who were handcuffed, but who ultimately were let go and were not charged, over 90% of that group were Black people. See, we have to start putting this in a particular context, and what it spills over to is really, when we look at it, is what I pretty much just described is what I call trickle-down policing. The stop and frisk, the stops, the surveilling, and then it spills over into police killings, where for over a decade, over 1,000 people have been killed in the United States every single year. The pandemic did not stop that. George Floyd's murder did not stop that. Those sort of things have continued, where every 8 hours, police officers in our country kill someone. Every 40 hours, a Black person is killed by police. And the disproportionality is off the charts, where if you look at the top bar, what you see, that's pretty much the percentage of the U.S. population, non-Hispanic whites for whites there, else it would be even slightly larger.
So you have 13,
you go to the second bar,
17,
only one group,
63% white.
That's Black people, being 3 times more likely than other groups than whites to be killed by police. But then look at the bottom bar. Because see, if it was about behavior, we would expect that bottom bar to decrease the racial difference, because that bottom bar is capturing people who were not attacking and people who were unarmed at the time police officers killed them. Who says that? Police officers. This comes from police officer reports. This data on this particular data set comes from the FBI. So this is actually data that police officers were voluntarily reporting. Y'all get what I'm saying? So in our world, that means this is a conservative estimate, right? So we would expect the gap to get smaller. Instead, it gets bigger. Black people are 3.5 times more likely than whites to be killed by police when they're not attacking and when they are unarmed. That is a travesty. That is what happens in America. And a lot of people say, oh, it's because of crime. No, it's not. Not related to crime. I know when you watch the news, if you like me, no matter what city you in, like when I'm in DC or
like
I
Nana
get
watches
Baltimore
the
news, or I was in Memphis a couple weeks ago, or I'm in Chicago, first 10 minutes, I'm just like, oh my gosh, the world is horrible. Do not let my kids out the house. It's a horrible place, right? Because the news really vibes off of the negativity, right? And not saying that there aren't things to address, and not saying violent crime isn't something to address, but as I'll show you in a second, that requires a different set of policy solutions to deal with.
Mhm.
So violent crime, yeah, is there an uptick? Yeah. But for those of us who grew up in the 80s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, oh, it's nothing compared to that. Like we thought things were good. We were just outside playing around, like street, at least in my house, street light come on. You better be home when the street light come on. You're not home when the street light come on, you gonna get in trouble. And so we were just out. Violent crime was much worse then than it is today. But it doesn't stop the narrative about more police, about how bad the world is. All of this.
Isn't that crazy? It is. It like narratives and
When
things are so powerful and can make us believe things like, well, crime's worse, people are worse, and that is in fact not the case.
Of this sort of stuff. And then here goes the key graphic from Mapping Police Violence that shows, if you look at the orange or reddish squares, that is the police killing rate. The blue X's is the violent crime rate. If those two things were related, in other words, if as crime increased, then police killings would increase. That would make sense in theory, right? That's completely not what's happening, because if that was happening, the X's would be similar to the squares.
Mm-hmm.
They are two completely unrelated metrics, both that require addressing, but they cannot be addressed in the same way, which is what we've been doing. And what I'm here to talk about is how we address, how we think about those orange squares. One thing we also know is that it's not about social class either. You know, that's the thing people say. Oh, well, you know, if you're just respectable, you know, if you just engage in, as
You
Elizabeth
listen
Higginbotham talks
to the
about
police.
the politics of respectability. You speak well, you dress nice, right? You wear your hair okay, you're gonna be okay. No, that doesn't really happen. Look at this graphic here. This is from Nancy Krieger and her colleagues at Harvard. These top two lines are black people. The bottom two lines are white people. The teal lines are people who are less affluent. The red lines are people who are more affluent. You're probably looking and you're probably thinking this is complete reverse of everything we know about race and class, right? You see that spike in the middle in the late 60s and 70s? Those were our civil rights leaders being killed by police.
Wow.
That's what that is. That's the reason why a lot of them are not around today.
That's a huge spike. Nana.
That's that spike. Here goes the thing, though. So here goes the thing, though. When we think about civilian payouts for police misconduct, these killings, even though in over 90% of all of these killings that I talked about, police officers are never charged. Over 95%, actually it's more like 98% of the ones that are charged are not convicted. I want you all to keep that in mind when we blow up a Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin is the prototype. It took multiple cameras, people standing around, a young girl with her cell phone recording, and a person sitting reviewing the footage saying, I thought that the videos, the cameras in the city stalled because they were in the same place for so long. That's what it takes to get a police officer convicted.
That's a lot.
But that doesn't stop these civilian these incidents from falling on your pockets. These are civilian payouts for police misconduct for some of the people I'll show you here. Corinne Gaines on the bottom right. Raise your hand, you heard of Corinne Gaines. Okay, a few more people, but still not that much. So let me tell y'all about Corinne Gaines, why y'all need to know who she is. She was a young black mother in Baltimore County, who you could see her two kids with her. She was posting on Facebook that police were harassing her. And if you know anything about Baltimore, she was probably very accurate about that. She had an outstanding warrant to appear for failure to appear for some of these type of incidents that she had been reporting about. She's in her house. She has a gun that by all accounts was legally owned. And after a series of hours of a standoff, police bust in. She is sitting in the kitchen with her son. They shoot and kill her. They accidentally shoot her son. And because of that, her son, Cody, got a $32 million settlement. And then the rest of her family got a $6 million settlement, $38 million total. When the county then said that they wanted to review this and it got scaled up to another court, the court said that the county did not have enough money to pay it. So it is currently still in limbo. Another judge came back and said they had to pay it. The county is saying they don't have the money. That's not unusual. Let's go to Nebraska. There's a group of white people known as the Beatrice Six who got accused of murder. Anybody in here from Nebraska? Yeah, oh, no. Nice. Yeah, I mean, this MSS. I figured there was some people from Nebraska. Yeah, anybody heard of the Beatrice Six?
No.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, my Nebraska people, Beatrice Six. So as you all know, the Beatrice Six were convicted of murder that supposedly they didn't do. They got out. They got a huge settlement. And the settlement was so large that the city of Beatrice could not pay it. So you know what happened? They increased, the people living in that city increased their property taxes.
Isn't that crazy?
That is not unusual. Let's go to Inkster, Michigan, where there was a large civil settlement. The city didn't have enough money to pay it. It dissolved their school system. There are other places where people's property taxes are increased 10% every year because they have to pay these people a wrongful civil settlement for a police incident. This is y'all's money. And then, of course, we can think about others all across the country where it's happened, large settlements. Then, of course, we know about Breonna Taylor. People know about 12-year-old Tamir Rice. And then, of course, Laquan McDonald, right here in my buddy KC's favorite city, home city of Chicago, right? $5 million. This is what you need to know about Chicago. Every city I go to, I have a slide like this because it's unfortunate. I can do this in every city. I wrote an article called, as you see there, talking about the financial gymnastics of police misconduct settlements. What do you need to know about Chicago? Well, during a decade from 2010 to 2020, $528 million paid out in civil settlements.
Holy shit.
$528 million. As much as they like to talk about the south side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago, imagine how much this money could go to an education infrastructure, to a work employment plan, to getting people transportation, to getting people adequate housing, to getting people the mental health resources they need.
Yeah.
$528,000. Oh, but it gets worse. When Rahm Emanuel was mayor, who's a Democrat, by the way, he worked for Obama. I'm just throwing this out there because right now there's this framing as if
I can hear
one group of
Terry.
people on one side of this,
She's right in the mic. Okay.
I know. She's watching with me.
this issue, the other group is on the other side. And as much time I spend on Capitol Hill, it is not that simple. Particularly even when I go across the country in state legislatures and in cities, it is not that simple. Now, Rahm Emanuel came up with a brilliant idea. He said, you know what? He's looking at the budget. He's like, what are all these expenses that we haven't budgeted for? They were like, oh, these are civil settlements for police misconduct. He was like, wow, can we budget for them? And they were like, well, I guess we can. So for all you in Chicago, right? Like my good buddy from grad school, Jason Cummings, raise your hand, Jason. Jason Cummings, who is now Loyola, who is the reason why, him and Tiffany Saunders, the reason why I chose to go to Indiana, because they were there before me, and I was like, well, these black people making it. I might be able to make it too. So thank you, Jason, because you were great, very influential, and continue to be for me. So thinking about the new city that you're in the budget line, money is going toward this. But guess what? Because it's so much money, they didn't have enough money to pay it. So Rahm said, he was like, well, how about we just put bonds on the open market and allow people to purchase them? Your taxpayer money is paying this back for people who purchase. Now, I know a lot of y'all know about private prisons, right? And the stocks. That's hardly nothing compared to this because these bonds, the interest rates on these bonds are so high that you end up paying them over time. This is your taxpayer money. So what just happened in this equation? Well, what just happened is over 95% of the police officers, pretty much nothing. On the other hand, your money that should be going toward your community is paying. And then here's the insult to injury. Let's take Breonna Taylor, who was killed in her home, and black women are much more likely to be killed in their homes than all other groups of people, which is tragic in and of themselves to think about. No-knock warrants are more likely to be issued in predominantly black communities. That Breonna Taylor, who worked for the city as an EMT, her own tax money was used to pay her family for her killing. And the drywall between her apartment and her neighbor's apartment got more justice than her. The neighbors actually got something out of this. That was the conviction. Was about them shooting bullets through the wall, not into a black person. Like this is 2022. And then we have these illness spillovers of police violence. Some of the work I've done with Ali Sewell and others, we've looked at these illness spillovers, how if you live, regardless of race, if you live in an over-policed community, if you're a man, your mental health suffers. You're more likely to be depressed. You're more likely to have anxiety. If you're a woman, you're more likely to have diabetes, high blood pressure, and you're more likely to be obese, controlling for everything under the sun. And then, of course, we know, again, the trickle down is black people having the police called on them for everyday acts. Swimming in a pool, cooking at a park, studying at Princeton for finals. I mean, just all kinds of little girls, little black girls selling lemonade. Who calls the police on a little girl selling lemonade? Like you gotta be a crude person to call the police on a little girl selling lemonade, right? And then we know just the other day, a black teenager, he out riding his bike delivering papers. You know, that's one of the classic jobs. Raise your hand if you deliver papers growing up. Yeah, look, y'all know that's a classic job, right? The first job, you throwing papers. Look, y'all smiling too. Y'all got vivid memories of throwing papers in people's yards and running from the dogs and all that. This black teenager who should be enjoying his life had a police officer track him down, drag him down. This dude is delivering papers. And then, of course, we know about Ahmaud Arbery, where the research I've done, Ben Crump has called it the Ahmaud Arbery effect because the work that I was doing at RWJ found that black men, when you look at black men here, You see what happens with black men is that they are significantly less likely to be physically active in predominantly white neighborhoods. These are better resource neighborhoods. People say that's the case. What happens there? They get criminalized. I've written a lot of work about not wearing the hoodie and about thinking about what happens with individuals when they're just walking home and going to different places. And part of what happens is that blackness becomes weaponized. See, that's that graph that I showed you earlier. Like, why would the racial gap for police killings increase? It's only if people consider the black body as something that is threatening and that can physically harm them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you read police reports, which I do a lot, that is the narrative. And so part of thinking about this is while black men are out going for a jog, they're like, look, we need to do something about these sort of things. And then we think about Trayvon Martin, who was just getting a bottle of iced tea and some Skittles from the store during halftime of the NBA All-Star game. Just walking. And when I think about stereotypes, I know everybody knows the definition, but the way that I've learned to think about it through this work is that it falls into 4 primary categories: intellectual ability, physical ability, emotional volubility, and then also criminality. And when you think about stereotypes in that way, you can start to put them into these categories and see how they play out. There was a fascinating study by Trayvon, who is
this
a
is
psychologist
interesting.
at Virginia Tech. She looked at people's responses to inanimate objects or reptiles or animals and all this kind of stuff. Like, for example, raise your hand if I walked in this room right now and I had a snake on my shoulder. Some of y'all are already shaking y'all heads. I hadn't even got finished with the sentence yet. Imagine if I got this snake on my shoulders and I throw it into the crowd. Raise your hand if you're taking off running.
I would.
Yeah.
Would you,
y'all just
Nana?
let them go. If I had 2 tarantulas in my
Running
hand,
all the way.
and I threw one on each side, raise your hand. Oh, see, you doing a full running motion. You
Goodbye.
just raise your hand if you're gone right now. You running out, right? And so part of what happens, and one of the things that we're doing at the Lab for Applied Social Science Research, we are trying to actually examine people's physiological responses, which helps get beneath the skin.
It's so
right?
fascinating.
And so I'll show you all some of that in a
This
second.
is very
But this is what this
fascinating.
study found. This study found that the same physiological reaction that people have to snakes and spiders is the same physiological reaction that some people have to black men in close proximity, like when they're in the elevator. And it leads to incidents like this. Well, you all might have heard about this in Florida some years ago. Some of you all are nodding. This man was sitting on the ground, who you see sitting there. He had something shiny in his hand. Person called the police, said, the person kind of looks disturbed. They're sitting there. A person seems to be helping them out. I think they might need some help. Police showed up. Who do you think police helped? You think they helped the man who was having mental health issues, who's sitting down, or the black man who was his caretaker, who was coming to take him back to the group home? Shot the black man. And when they asked the police, who was hiding behind a pole,
Oh my God.
like, it's very puzzling. He was slightly outside the right view. Because hiding behind a pole, they asked him, why did you shoot him? He said, I don't know. Like, well, I know. Because then we look at images like this, where clearly the man with the gun on the left is the agitator. The guy behind the cop is like, this dude has a gun. Police doesn't even have his hand on his gun. He's going for the gun, trying to calm this guy down. I mean, this is
So it's so interesting, the fact that they're able to test and have stats behind people's reactions, and it can explain so much of things that, because when people want to talk about this stuff, I think people immediately, especially a lot of white people, they get defensive. I'm not like that. I don't think like that. I'm not hateful. I wouldn't, whatever. It's like, but there are internal things. There are subconscious things that you don't even realize, and reactions that you have that have either been, conditioned in you, that if you don't think about it, and that if you don't listen to it or look at statistics about it, then you can't recognize it in yourself and change it. Then it just keeps like la 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 la. That's the same thing with the people. What I'm doing a video on, the I don't see color people. That's what they do. Ah la 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 la. They do this. And that's a privilege that they get to la, 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 and do this. But you have these people like sociologist Ray doing this work that is just breaking it down for you.
Yes.
So it's like you have to take yourself and your ego out of it. That's the only way I can explain it, that this isn't an attack on, white Americans. This is a call for action to like understand where these biases come from and understand how they exist within yourself, and how your reactions out into the world, how it affects other people.
And
But-
he sure has done his homework on this.
Oh my gosh, I mean, he's just so freaking, it's amazing. So I'll stop it there, but definitely go and watch the rest of this video, because it gets even better. And I should do just like a separate video on this. And it's sociologist Ray, are police officers really bad apples? Because it was something that I was just hearing these white ladies say, and it was pissing me off, because when I hear people say that, it's a cop out. And it's kind of, I don't know who said it in the chat. Maybe it was Mikey, of like, boys will be boys. You hear that kind of thing.
Right.
So you let this stuff slide, and then, it just grows and grows, and the patterns and the cycles keep repeating. And I think some people, they get so, upset, and well, I don't want to talk about this stuff, and I want to have a good time, and I don't want to think about that stuff. And it's like, well, that's your privilege, that you don't have to think about this stuff. But these things are important things. They're not meant to be divisive and to divide people. They're actually meant to
bring people together.
Just with greater understanding. So I just was like, I was enthralled listening to him last night, and I learned so much, because it's like, every day I'm like, I don't know enough. Like, do you ever feel that way, Nana? You're just,
oh my gosh,
lots of things in life. I just
time,
never feel I know enough.
Well, especially watching the news tonight, there's so much out there right now. It's hard to keep track of all the shootings. It's hard to keep track of all the schools that have been, gone into with terrorists with guns. I mean, it's so much.
But I think we also have to remember too, that the media itself and these news organizations, they're looking for views.
They're looking for ratings.
And they're looking for that, and they're looking for advertisers and things like that. But they also have I wish they were called out more to have a social responsibility to cover more than just, if it bleeds, it leads, which is an old journalism line. And when I went to school for journalism, that, was something that was regularly said, that was a regular practice within journalism. If it bleeds, it leads. And I think that can lead to a lot of problems, because you then all of a sudden in your head, just like Ray was talking about, you're like, it's horrible out there, and everything's horrible and bad, and it's way worse than before. But when you look at actual statistics, it isn't. But what is worse is the glorification of it, the amount of money that people and these news organizations can make off of claiming that, or covering, these shootings and things like that. So it's just such a layered issue. It's such a layered topic, and it is so fascinating. And I guess I didn't, like Jamila was saying, I think you said your dad went to school for sociology.
Yes.
And I think my sister-in-law did too, and is a social worker. But I didn't know that there was this other job like sociologist Ray has, that you're dealing with, these, statistics and testing them. And so you're coming to the table with like actual facts. It's not all things that I think people want to argue are, based on facts, not feelings. It's not your feelings. It's like, well, this is directly showing you research that has been done. And it's fascinating to think of Nana's chair just fell.
I'm sorry. I hate such a bad moment for that to happen there.
Oh, I'd want to get you a new chair. But yeah, it's fascinating to think that you can actually test and find that people's reactions, like when he was talking about the tarantulas and the snakes, and the same reactions people would have to them is what a lot of these people who were tested would have to being in a close space or confined space with a Black man. So it's just like, holy shit, but that teaches us so much. So the more we know about this stuff, the more we can, educate ourselves against those kinds of, biases, and against kind of fears that have been brought on by years and years of news and advertising and propaganda and false narratives and things. Thanks, Jay Esco, for the super chat. Says thanks for covering this. Very educational and insightful.
And it was educational too. Thank you, Jay Esco.
And I think I didn't know that taxpayers are paying out these civil lawsuits. I didn't know that with the insurance and stuff, and how you have to insure. You can go on the road and drive without, insuring your car, and these police cars can't not be insured, but the police can be out there and not be insured. And so there's so many
There has to
things.
be a line item, like they said.
Mhm.
Could we have a line item for what the county, the city, the state is paying out to the victims,
Yeah.
victims' families?
Well, and I think there should be more transparency just with what our tax dollars go to in general. And especially when it comes to like military and things like that, because it's just military. Well, what in the military and what does the money go to? And I think there's just so many layers to this. And when, like Ray will say later in this video about defunding the police, and, unfortunately, whoever made that campaign, it's a horrible name because it sounds like they just want to strip everything, and police
all the money.
officers will have no
Yes.
money and will have no protection. But that isn't at all. It's all about reallocating the money and the funds. And it's all about educating officers, and also recognizing whether this is going to these certain calls are actually something officers are not capable, but that they're trained enough to do. Because there's a woman that speaks up later, and she goes out to, I forget which kind of calls, but like mental health stuff too. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So to have an armed officer with someone having a mental health breakdown without a mental health professional, first of all, there's no program that officers go to that or have to go through that is that involved where they should even be expected to handle something like that on their own. And so there's just I just still think that we don't need the police involvement in things currently that we do have armed police officers involvement. The police are necessary, but I think the system itself, it needs to be tweaked and reworked. And I think that is, only good can come from that, because whatever's happening now isn't working and it's proving. But I think people want to go to the complete opposite end and go, they want to get rid of the police and they want to do this, and Black Lives Matter is going to take over and they're like the KKK, and it's fear, and they just throw fear. So you'll hear some of our friends, some of our family spew this stuff to us, and we're like, that's not actually true. And it's, they're just like jumping ahead to the worst case scenarios, these like whataboutisms, rather than understanding what it truly is. So thanks, Taylor.
Thanks, Taylor.
Loves
That's
night
very
pants.
nice.
We never know what we're going to get into with
We
night
don't
pants
know.
with Nana.
This was very interesting to me. I learned quite a bit.
Mhm.
He speaks very well. He's easy to listen to. He's very forceful in what he's saying. He's got his facts to back him up.
Well, he's passionate about it because that's his career, and that's what all these sociologists that do this this sort of work. I mean, this is what they're ingrained in it. This is what they're studying constantly. And so also he's speaking in front of fellow sociologists, so they're all very passionate about these topics. So
I did. KMA saying I learned a ton. I did too. I really did. I really don't, my own thought. I don't care for this idea of the social workers going in on the front line.
Well, you have to stop maybe thinking of it as a front line in that regard, because we've thought of it in a very militia way with the police, that everything is armed, guns, and not every call is that. If you look at most traffic stops, he talks about that as well. So I think, but we've been kind of trained to have this kind of military type thought about our police. And again, that I think is based mostly on this fear that they've just kind of shoved down our throats, and with the empathy for officers as well, where what's happening with a lot of officers is, like Ray will say in this video, they're not paid well. And so you will see a lot of officers working these long hours, extra shifts, and then a lot of times, they got families, kids, then they're off taking second jobs. So you're now in this very sensitive holding a weapon that can kill people, and you're not on your game mentally. So mental health and things, resources for police officers as well. The same way we don't take care of our veterans and our military with mental health, we don't do that with police officers as well. And that's why there is such a high rate of suicide within the police force. So it's so layered. It's not like, you know, they're bad, we're good, we're bad, they're good. It's just, you know, creating like just a better model for this through a lot of the plans within defunding the police. Unfortunately, all people I think here is defund. And
I know. And that is
really,
now Stephanie's mentioning, I'm going to watch that. What is it again? And
let me drop the link in the chat for you guys.
Okay.
So here's the direct video, but you can follow Sociologist Ray on Instagram, and you can follow Sociologist Ray on YouTube.
I don't know.
Let me make sure this posts there for you guys.
And Kim A, that is true. Most police work as security after hours too. I know my brother-in-law, Jolene's uncle, was a police officer, and he would work extra jobs, you know, security jobs, because they weren't paid that well.
And that's why you listen to someone who studies this like Ray, and he's hitting it at all the levels. So every argument one side might have regarding what they've been told by the media or what they've been told by their political leaders who have vested interest through different lobbying, and they don't want to get money taken away from them, whether they are endorsed by the police or this or that, you know. So it's very interesting, but you know, it is as well of, you know, you look at the numbers of police officers who actually live in the cities in which they work,
right?
You don't really find that. So that's also, if you're supposed to be, you know, a community leader, and you're supposed to protect that community, but you don't live in that community. Your kids don't go to school in that community. You don't eat in that community. You probably then even subconsciously care less about that community. So it's easy for you to go, oh, that's a shithole. I don't live there. I want to live more out in the suburbs, which was similar to, you know, the LA riots and Rodney King and stuff, is you had all those officers live in Simi Valley. Simi Valley is far from Los Angeles and where the riots and where Rodney King and all that happened. But that's where all those officers were. And they also, that's, I believe, where they had their trial as well. And it was a predominantly, you know, white community. So they weren't living.
See, and back in the day in the 60s and 70s, I know for our different police departments here in Minnesota, you had to live where you worked. And
that's what Ray says too. He thinks maybe even for some period of time, that would help, just creating that sense of community, because that's definitely been lost with, you know, different things going out to like suburbs. I know in Minnesota, they were calling like white flight out of a lot of cities and things like that. Yeah, you have no vested interest in your community. So the way you look at it, you might think, well, no, I'm doing my job, but you're not looking at it like a community. You're just looking at it like a job, or you're looking at it like a shithole you wouldn't live in. So
yeah. Jamie B, you have uncle duties, gunkle duties. You get to your gunkle duties, and happy birthday. Your birthday's coming up soon. So happy birthday.
I was like,
Jamie
it's not
B.
today, is it?
No. I saw it in the chat. People, what are you doing for your birthday? So I wanted to make sure we mentioned Jamie B's birthday.
Yeah, make sure on your birthday, Jamie B, you tell us so we can all give you lots of birthday love. But anyway, so that is Sociologist Ray, you guys. And just, he has so many videos out there that, I mean, you just never stop learning. I'm telling you.
That's very true.
So freaking
very true.
So interesting.
It's Thursday, Jolene. Jamie says it's thanks, Dan. It's Thursday.
Next Thursday. Next Thursday. Well, we already talked about that. Kind of would have been our leave it to the Dick and the Beaver. So in that, I've been watching this, and you said you were watching. Well, we were going to ask if you were watching Stranger Things still.
I didn't. I haven't had a chance to get back into it, but I
It
will.
scared you once.
It did. It did.
Once the sister was sucked into the upside down to the tree, Nana
I
was
had
like,
I had a little trouble
"I'm
with
stopping.
that.
I'm stopping."
I had a little trouble with that. I wanted to get to know more of the characters though, and I wanted to at least get through that first season.
Yeah, try to
I
get
have
through
two
the
more
first
I have two
season
more
before you come here. Yeah.
episodes to watch, and that shouldn't be hard. So, but right now I'm trying to get together stuff for text time. Anyway,
Yeah, because then when we go to the Stranger Thing experience with Lucy, you'll at least have that first season. But I think,
right.
I mean, yeah, the second
At least
season's
I
so
know
good,
some of the
though.
At least I know some of the characters now. So
Yeah,
when you
you
guys
know
are
Barb,
talking about it,
who you're
I know
gonna
who
be.
Barb is. I guess I'm going to be Barb, and
Nana's not excited about. I think Barb is awesome. Oh my
Oh.
God. We don't, Nan. I don't think Nan's ever watched Buffy. And Lucy wants to watch Buffy. She asked me, she goes, where do you watch Buffy? And I won't tell her because I said, I'll watch Buffy with you or tell you where to watch. I mean, she could probably figure it out. But when you're older, because I think that
yes,
8 is not when you should be watching Buffy. Unless
no,
I'm sure there are some parents who sit and
Stranger
watch it with
Things.
their kids for sure.
Yeah,
But
that's a tough
to
one too,
me,
though.
oh yeah, Stranger Things too. I mean, but to me, there's so many things I'd want to explain to her. And then the whole Angel losing his soul, and they have from sex, and there's some things I would
there's
want to.
way too much for 3rd grade.
But I don't even think she would understand that because it's not said straight out. But anyways, I just told her she's got to wait. She's like double digits, and then we'll watch.
Yes, thank you.
We'll watch Buffy together.
Renee, you're too funny. Nana, Stranger Things should be a lot less scary than tax.
Should be, Renee.
I know. I sit there and I go, well, geez, should I write this down? And I don't know even what we can take anymore. We have our taxes done. We go to a person. But so many of the things they've taken away for us that we can't even claim anymore. So
it's crazy.
that last season so scary
of Stranger Things. It is. I thought it was kind of too, where I just thought I gotta watch it again, but there were some episodes that were super good, but then other ones I was like, oh, and I feel like a lot was happening. I don't want to give any spoilers. Nana hasn't watched it yet, but
that's fine.
In last season when they broke it up into 2 parts, it was so much happening, and so we're over in like Russia or something. Then we're over. It was just like, oh my goodness,
and they take and they take and they take. I'm back to the tax man.
Oh, Nana's pissed. Tax man. They take, but
I know. And I know, I mean, our quality of life, things like that, things that the money goes to, I understand that sort of. But oh my goodness, if we could just have one free tax year, can you imagine the money we could put into this economy and things we could get and do and help other people? Yes. Anyway,
they'll always find a way to ding you, Nana.
I know, you're starting to sound like Grandpa.
Always find a way to ding you. But yeah, I think if we just knew exactly where shit was going, like, okay, this percentage of your money will go here, and you're like, okay, well, I like that. That's nice. Oh, roads. Okay, cool. I like that library. Okay, fire. Yeah, we need firefighters. Okay,
yes,
cool.
we do.
But, which part of the military? Okay, is this going to help vets once they're out with like mental health stuff, PTSD? I like that. Give them some furthering education. Cool. But they don't. It's just like, they just say military. And it's like,
yeah. Put it all in one big bunch.
And we got to pay out police settlements now that we've learned. So it's like so fucked up that like we didn't do this shit. You know what I mean? Like that. And I think if there was more onus on the actual police department and the officers, wouldn't you think that maybe that would help a little? I mean, I know that it's much more about, with biases and education and all that kind of stuff. But even there's no responsibility. So that, like Ray said, 90% aren't getting, they're charged. They might be charged, but they're not getting convicted.
Yeah. And
then they don't have to pay out civil things. So what are they losing? How are they punished? And places that they'll go on paid leave.
Yeah, bailout companies that will turn right around and pass the cost back onto us.
Exactly.
Which happens all the time. It happens all the time because we just got our homeowners tax, and that's gone way up because of all the storms that we've had in the area, and they had to pay out a lot of claims. And so we're paying it up front with our insurance premium, and then we're paying again because there's been too many losses.
Sue says, do you have a pet tax where you have to pay $100 per year to have Tilly live with you, like in Portland? I
No,
don't think so. I've never heard of that.
I've never heard
Huh?
of that.
Like if you rent somewhere, yeah, they'll add that into your rent, but
Oh,
like a pet fee, but a pet tax?
I've never heard of that.
Why?
Hmm.
What would be the point of that? I got pet insurance once, and let me tell you, scam-a-rama.
Yeah.
It really didn't cover anything.
Well, that's what drives me crazy when you go to get something like I got that new iPad, and you want coverage on it for extra coverage. Well, no, don't you stand by your product? What happened to those days? Nobody
No,
stands
and
by their
then
product anymore.
you'll get the coverage, Nana, and then you'll bring it in and you'll like, let's say you break the screen. They'll be like, oh, okay. You'll be like, yeah, so I have the insurance. So I want a new screen. How did the screen break? Oh, I dropped it on the side of the tub. Oh, we don't cover side of the tub. It would have to be the floor. Well, it was the floor. Well, you said it was the side. Actually, was it after 5 p.m.? Oh, yes, it was. Well, no, then we can't cover that because that, it's just not good for our business because people tend to be intoxicated after 5 p.m. So that more falls on you. And you're like, what am I paying for
I know.
again?
I don't even do that anymore. I just go, come hell or high water, it's either going to work or it's not going to work.
Just
I
get a
don't
new
want that
one.
extra coverage.
Because you'll be paying out for the amount that we pay out just in insurance of stuff you'll never use.
That's
I mean,
exactly right.
eventually, like with medical stuff, but then for them to turn around and you could pay all these years and then you could get dropped and then you do get sick and then they're like, go fuck yourself. And you're like, well, excuse me, can that count at all those years I did pay
Yeah,
for
that's
something?
just
But
it.
it
I
doesn't.
know.
So there's a dog and cat pet tax.
Per year. I've never heard of it. And Sue H is saying it goes to the city because
Oh,
Portland
to
loves
like
animals.
help? Wait a minute, but what does the money go to though? Like, how do you know does it go to an organization that helps animals? So you have a pet and it lives in your house, you have to pay extra in taxes. And then that tax money, does that go in Portland to help? Because obviously in California and Los Angeles and Southern California, we have a lot of stray, population and things, and people not doing what Bob Barker told us our whole lives: get your pet spayed or neutered. Bye bye. So, does it go to that?
Sue's saying, who knows?
Right. That's what I'm saying, Stephanie. I bet
I would
some of
hope
that could decrease if people were held accountable in any fashion. And even if it is paying your own lawsuits, maybe you would be less apt to, pull out your gun this is crazy.
I know.
It's crazy. Sue says, who knows?
Yeah, it is. That's hard to. I would think you should get a tax break, Sue, because you're good enough to have an animal, and that's not
just like you get it for having kids if you have.
That's right.
But then
that's right.
you might get a hoarding situation where some people hoard pets, and that's just horrible. You see some of the living conditions pets are in, and you're like, no. Yes, you send $100 per year per pet. But what the hell does it go to? I'm so interested, Sue. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully shelters and dog parks.
Yeah, one would hope. Yeah.
Something and like no-kill shelters, obviously, and places where it's like free-range shelters, like free-range eggs. Have eggs went down yet? Is that egg thing over, Nana?
No, it is not over. It's not over. And even at my Quick Trip, we know we love Quick Trip, and we used to run in there to get eggs and butter because it was cheaper. Well, it still is, but it's $3.99 for eggs, 12 pack, and then $3.99 for butter. And if you go across the street over there to Cub, it's like $5.99 and $5.99, the difference in price.
And
so
that's because they got an egg flu or something's going on with eggs, right? They were contaminated.
I'm not sure what happened.
Gas
prices are going up again. We see that they just took a 40-cent jump, and they said by March or April here in Minnesota, we'll see over $4 a gallon.
Wow.
And I know,
it says egg prices jumped 49% in the past year, more than any other grocery category, according to Consumer Price Index, according to CNBC. But I thought there was like a recall recently of
and that could be, honey, but this has been, coming.
Yeah.
And I don't go to the grocery stores very often. Dad does that. But when I do get in there and I'm looking at prices, I'm going, things aren't just popping up at 10 cents and 20 cents an item. They're going 50 to $1, And that's
Mhm.
it's terribly hard for young families.
Oh, so there's an ongoing outbreak of avian influenza is the main factor for the recent rising of egg prices. So it's, yeah, that's what Chell was telling me. The avian influenza is the main factor because it involves the eggs. So what Texas A&M was doing researching this, and they have their specialists in the Department of Poultry Science. They say, what is driving in egg prices? There are multiple factors affecting the price of eggs right now. The biggest is avian influenza. Over 50 million birds have been lost this year, Nana. Many are commercial layers, so supply is down at least 5%. Another is inflation, which is increasing the costs of feedstuffs, corn and soybean, used in feed, and fuel, gas, diesel, electricity, natural gas, needed to transport eggs and run farms. And the last is increased demand. It's normal for the holidays to see increased egg costs. People use eggs more in bakery products, but we're also seeing increased demand due to inflation as people are consuming eggs more instead of other protein sources, which are also seeing increased costs. So interesting. Interesting, Nana.
Yeah, Kim
Sell
saying,
Biden.
I heard egg prices are Biden's fault. Just like the gas prices. Stop it.
I heard he
it. She's got
creepily kisses the eggs like this.
She's
and
got
smells their hair.
She's got the little laugh sign on there, Kim. That's funny.
Can you believe wings are $17 for 2 pounds?
It's really sad.
What's the normal price?
Well, I don't know. Usually wings are be pretty cheap.
Not $17.
No.
I think Lala says I should get a tax break because I have me too. I have no kids. Me too. I should get some kind of what would it be? It would be an environmental. Because you're putting less stress on the environment, I guess, by not. But then I drink this sometimes, so I guess this is my baby. No, plastic bottles are very bad.
Yes.
Nana says yes.
Hello.
Oh my God. Lola says, I don't mind paying taxes to fund schools, but we don't pay Exactly. Teachers aren't paid enough at all. And some people say, well, they don't work all year. Well, but when they do work, they got to work.
But yeah, technically.
It's just like 2 months, which is a person's PTO anyways. You know what I mean? Not everybody's, but I don't know.
Okay. I think we should wrap it up tonight, you guys. I thought we had a good time. We learned an awful lot. And we appreciate you bringing that to our attention, Jolene. And I learned quite a bit. But we did.
Subscribe. I was like, subscribe, Sociologist Ray. Subscribe. I'm following you everywhere.
So we're going to, let's see, what did we have? Oh, how many likes did we get? I'm sorry. Did we hit our, we had 50.
I don't know. Did we
and
hit
then
the 100?
I think we went to 100. I don't know if we hit 100.
So keep smashing that like. Yes, follow him on Instagram and you'll find he also posts great stuff with his family and his kids are adorable and his wife. Oh, we got 120 likes.
Whoop, that's wonderful. Oh my gosh, that's great. Thanks, you guys.
Yes, of course. We love you guys. We love our Fridays. I'm going to add in a couple more segments. Nana,
love our lean team.
Fantastic with all of your updates and all of the segments. And now just look for a little bit of drama on that next story.
I got to look for some more drama.
Look for some passive aggressive Minnesota drama. And if you got any drama yourself, you want to just let out there you're mad at somebody. We don't got to name names, Someone.
Initials are fine. Okay.
Yes, and Sue H, thanks for the reminder. Can we get a question for the replay crew? So when this video posts, put it in the comments, because let me tell you guys, the algorithm is a crazy, crazy man. And the more comments we get, the more the video gets bumped up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Comments and likes are so important. Likes, especially when you're live, because it then tells, I was going to say Instagram, tells YouTube like, people are interested in this, and then comments after the fact, and then it drives you back up in the algorithm. I'm just pretending I know what I'm talking about, but this is what I've heard.
It sounds very good to me. It sounds very good.
Talk about fake news, but that's what people tell me, that this comment. So what is the question you would like to ask people, and they can answer it in the comments section. Thank you, Jamila, for the super sticker. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Jamila. Let's just wrap it up with really old stale tea. Okay, can we just wrap it with old stale tea? Do you mind?
No, but do you have a question for the peoples?
Yes, here's the question. I was going to give it as information. I'll make it a question. I'll pretend.
Okay. Do you need me to do the Nana stale? Let me find the one that says Hollywood gossip. Let me see if I can get the 90 day. Okay, this one. This will be 90 day, but it's regular. We'll do this and then another one after.
This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. Stay tuned for
Hollywood gossip.
And then obviously this one.
Love that. Up and at 'em. I love you. I love watching you. I know you're really busy. You weren't supposed to pop on today, but you did. Jason told you, quit doing these, quit getting in front of the camera and pack some boxes because they're moving to a new house.
Are they moving into their new house now?
Yes, they are. But
they built a house too.
He waited till he ran out to go get more boxes. Jason did. And so Up and at 'em.
And then Up and at 'em went live.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Real quick. Jen Shah, let's talk about this, or just let's ask questions about this. She has dearjenshaw.com, even after the judge told her you were to make no money off of this.
Remember I reported on this already?
Not the dearjenshaw.com.
Yeah. And to people to subscribe to it, and she's going to give her tell-all.
Oh, yeah.
Do you listen when I talk, Nana?
Oh, you know what? Was this just last week?
This was Wednesday. I tell her she's got ADD. I tell her
she
that's
just
where
wants
I got
to speak.
it.
She wants to speak her truth.
I just
And
want
I'm
someone.
So sorry. No
wonder I'm a stand-up comedian trying to convince others to listen to me, and I have a YouTube channel trying to convince others to listen to me, because my whole life I've just been trying to get my mom to listen to me. Nana, the stolen tea is coming from you. Stole it from me.
I was going to mention.
I know. Well, that's why every time I'm like, Nana, you're not listening. It's I'm listening.
I'm listening. Zach Peter also talked about
did
Joleen Lunzer, as Joleen Lunzer did. Okay, so.
Oh my God, Nana,
Kim says it's a muscle relaxer. I only took one.
Has she been on him her whole life, Kim? Because this has been my whole life. I'll tell her something and then she'll go. And then it's always our joke, me and her sister Karen, because it's either me or Karen. She says, well, Karen said. I said, no, I told you that. Oh, never. Well, Jolene said, no, Karen told you that. Like, she just, oh my God, Nana.
Okay, so that was my tea.
Look, my favorite is the tea is coming. The stolen tea is coming from inside the house. Oh my gosh, Nana, what?
Okay, but I thought that was really interesting the second or third time I heard it. Okay.
What are we going to do with you?
We have a Karen too. That's my sister Karen. Yes.
Oh my gosh, Nana. The fact that you were so excited.
I was excited. And I wrote a page and a half about it. Okay.
You did not. What did you write?
Well, I just wrote Jen Shah, dearjenshaw.com. She wants you to
subscribe to her. Put your email in. Remember, we made a joke. We're like, why would you put your information in there?
I remember that now. That's why it was so easy to write. Thanks for listening.
Guys, thank you guys. No, thank all of you for listening to me for all these years on YouTube, because clearly Nana's just like,
I was so excited about this. I thought, oh, I got some stale tea. I got this all covered. And then once I read it and once you said it, then I went, oh yeah, sure enough.
Once I read it and once you said it, I mean, here, I got a clip I'm going to make. This is Nana's new sound clip that we'll use for
No,
her.
no.
What?
Okay.
I just can't even.
Inside
Nana.
the house, Nana. Yeah. I know
Here's,
I heard it
here's
somewhere.
for Nana.
It's coming from inside the house. Do you hear me? It's coming from inside the house. The call. It's coming from inside the house. Do you hear me? It's coming from inside the house. The call. It's coming from inside.
The call is coming from. You hear me? The call is coming from inside the house.
Oh, I'm so
my
sorry.
goodness.
Oh,
So, what is the question we're leaving people with? Nana.
What we are leaving people with.
To answer in the comment section after the video post, so it helps us in the algorithm, and we can hear from our viewers who we love.
right.
And we love to hear from the Lean team. What's your
All right.
question?
My question is, did anybody watch James at 15 or James at 16? It ran 1977, 1978. That's the question. Did
Okay.
anybody watch this?
Okay, either that or what's your phobia and what is your favorite 80s movie? We will accept all of those answers, or James at 15. We love you. Great job, Nana.
Or
Thank
James
you guys
at
so
16?
much. 16, 15.
You only had 2
listening
years.
too. I'm done listening too. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Love you, Nana. Bye.
Oh, he knows DGF knew it was Lance Kerwin.
If you like what you see.